Nick Battle from Nino's Corner Sports. You got Jay from Unfair Sports. We got Steven from Fanatic Perspective and Ty from Around the Table Sports. Folks, we're the SEC Connect. We're here, episode 34, man. Look, folks, it is a couple of days before championship game weekend. That's what I'm talking about, man. Yeah, folks, Chris, like Chris has some problems with his kid, so he's taking care of a six baby right now, man. So he won't be on today. But folks, man, what's going on? How y'all doing?
Man, um, I haven't slept in like 3 days with this transfer portal coaching carousel bull. Like this dog. I knew that the portal was gonna jump. My God, has it jumped?
It's jumping.
Like it's nonstop, and we aren't even on the official date yet.
It's,
Like
it's booming right now.
booming. So yeah, it's been. But besides that, I'm pretty excited. I mean, it's gonna be a fun championship weekend. Um, and yeah, it's been a fun season. I'll say that.
Ty, how about you, man?
Man, transfer portal's going wild. I've just it's been a wild few days. So I'm excited to jump into it all.
Steven.
Yeah, no, college football's been front and center. So for me, it was the playoffs, yesterday, and just everything that's in front of us for Texas and Alabama's sake. So my attention has been heavily there. I have seen what's going on in the portal, and as well as the coaching changes and decisions around college football. College football's popping right now.
It's
It's the most
fun.
wonderful time of the year.
It is, and it sucks because we only got what 3 more weeks of this. That's it. With all the bowls and stuff, there's really only about 3, 4 more weeks of like. Oh, I shouldn't say
Mm-hmm.
real ball, but when we're talking about teams that are going for championships, when we're talking about big time bowls, and man, it's gonna suck. It's gonna suck. College football ends in about a month, right? So it is what it is, fellas. But look, man, we got a lot of people on. We see David on here. Hey, David, what's going on? James is on as well. Nolan, everybody. Oh, Quentin's on with the $3.04. Quentin, what's up with the 4 cents, man?
You Greek or something? Is it some sort of a Greek deal that we don't know about?
Oh man. So look, we got a lot to talk about today. Let's start off with first is let's talk about the Bama game. I want to talk about that. And then we'll go into the SEC championship game and then go into the college football playoffs. So look, folks, I'm flying in to Alabama from Austin, Texas this past weekend. And I get on the plane. My wife gets on a separate plane with the kid. They're going back to Connecticut. I'm at a bar with the family watching the first 3 quarters of the Bama game, and I tell you what, Auburn was putting it on. My wife, you guys know she's a Bama fan. She is like losing her damn mind, right? She's losing her mind, and I'm just sitting back, just kind of enjoying everything that's going on. I get in the plane in the fourth quarter. I get Wi-Fi, and I'm watching it. I got 2 Auburn alums sitting next to me as we're flying back to Alabama. 2 Alabama alums sitting behind me. Auburn, of course, is up, and then it's 4th and 31, and we all, everybody knows the story. Milrow throws the miracle pass. Ty, I want to talk to you about the defense that Auburn had up there, which I thought was really pathetic, not putting any pressure on Milrow, but that's a whole nother story. And so, yeah, these Auburn fans think that the game's won. They think the game's won, and I do too. 4th and 31, I'm like, Milrow's not going to do this shit. It's 4th and 31. And one, like one Bama fan gets up and goes to go take a piss, or whatever, because he just can't stomach to watch the last play. And Milrow happens. Milrow to the corner happens. And Alabama wins the game. And the airplane goes static because we're flying into Bama. And I know Ty was probably having a heart attack throughout the whole game, probably drinking some of that good liquor that, he has behind him right there. But Ty, man, give me your feelings about this Bama Auburn game, man.
So, I know that y'all keep saying you're looking forward to getting away from that Big 12 officiating. What welcomes you is not much better. This was the same officiating crew that a year ago had a 5-minute conference on whether it was fourth or third or fifth down for Tennessee, and they ended up forgetting what down Tennessee was on, awarded them an entirely different down. It
Yeah, I
felt
remember
like
that.
after the egregious, and it was egregious, miss face mask call on one of the first plays of the game. It felt like the rest of the game, the refs were trying to be like, "Oh no, we'll give you this one too and this one." Guys, there was a key play, where Auburn ended up converting to a first down. They motioned three people at once, and Dallas Turner jumped because he's like, "Well, you can't do that. You can only motion." It was a flag on Bama. Like you can't motion three people at once. That's just flat out illegal. They jumped because they were like, "Well, you physically cannot do that." So yeah, let's go. It's live. But at the end, that's the Iron Bowl, and that's what makes the Iron Bowl so much fun. Is there's going to be wild calls, there's going to be wild sequences, and you just don't know what's going to happen. But isn't it fitting on the 10th year anniversary of the Kick Six that now we have the Milrow Miracle? And it is a beautiful thing, an absolutely beautiful thing. I loved it because you had Ryan Williams in the stands, who might just be a top 3 recruit when it's all said and done in the class of 2025. He was loving it, recruiting for Alabama. And it just means Alabama's season is still alive. Look, you listened to Kirby Smart this week. A reporter asked him, like, "Oh, well, what do you think it means that Alabama struggled with Auburn?" And Kirby stopped them, and he's like, "No, don't talk to me about Auburn. I know about Auburn." He brought up the fact that Auburn played them tough. Auburn put up over 200 rush yards on Alabama. They did the same thing on Georgia. Here's the thing. I sent this in the group chat, and I was not exaggerating whenever we were talking about this. And I was like, what's wild is it's been a handful of plays that have just absolutely killed Alabama. And that's football. But gentlemen, they had 5 plays that if you total up their big plays, it was 169 yards they gained on 5 plays. They gained 168 yards the rest of the night. So it was a few instances of busted coverages or not being in the right gap, which, credit to Hugh Freeze, that's what he's going to do. He's going to get your guys out of position and take advantage of it. Hell of a game. Glad they came out of there with the win. Happy to be out of Jordan-Hare Stadium because it's cursed. And on to Georgia.
That muffed punt. Oh, my God.
It was beautiful, wasn't it?
That
Beautiful.
kid's got to be sick, man. He has got to
Growing
be
up.
sick. My God. They had the damn game won. And hey, you know what? If you can't
Sorry
catch
about
it,
you.
hey, look here. Hey, if you're scared to catch the ball, just get the hell out the way and just
Let it
just
roll.
have it down to 1. Who cares? Oh my God. Oh my God. But hey, hell of a game for Bama, man. Oh my God. Jay, how about you, man? What you think about that game, man?
Oh my gosh. It was everything, as Ty said, it's the Iron Bowl, baby. It was discombobulated, it was force, it was grit, it was hate. It was more hate and a third level of hate. It was everything you would expect out of it. It's funny because so Hugh Freeze comes in here as a first-time coach for Auburn, and I've told some folks he's going to give Alabama fits in this game. They're like, "Oh, Auburn's trash. There's zero chance there." No, Hugh Freeze knows what he's doing. He doesn't have the players he needs yet. He knows what he's doing, though. He's going to give them fits. He's not going to win the game, but he's going to give them fits. And what did he do? Gave him fits, man. Like Ty said, he ran for 200 yards in this game. I'm like,
What a game.
how? On them and how? But guess what? That's what Hugh Freeze does, man. He shocks you and then he loses to a 4-letter acronym school. Granted, that 4-letter acronym school, I think, has 10 wins this season. But, we're not going to give them any credit. They lose to them, and then they come in here and play Bama just so tough. It's just it's the damnedest thing that they do, but straight up, that's Auburn, man. And so I just love the championship week. Rivalry week was just this much fun, right? Rivalry week was fun. It was a lot of good games. And in this one, man, when Milrow completed that pass somehow, that's just awful coverage. Like, you just have guys lined up at the end zone, right? You have 5 DBs at every point of the end zone, and you just stand there. And
No,
you have
sir, that's
linebackers.
Auburn football.
Hey, you know what?
Yeah.
If that happens, I'm pass interfering the hell out of somebody. Nobody's catching the damn ball. I don't care.
No.
I'm running straight into the guy. I'm not trying to play the ball. I'm playing the whole man.
That's it. That's all you gotta do. But no, what he do? He let that man get back in that corner, and that beautifully, perfectly precise pass by Milroe. So everything that Milroe miracle is gonna be remembered forever, man. That was a perfect pass. Perfect.
It is. It
Perfect.
is.
So yeah, it was a great game.
Steve, how about you, man?
It definitely is. Such an iconic moment. I think Isaiah Bond deserves a lot of credit too.
Yeah.
Terrific throw by Milroe as a quarterback to step into the football, to step into your throw and generate that type of velocity, but also keeping it on a rope to where, because if he throws it too high, guys can come over there and cut. Like once he sees Bond kind of slip to that corner, to put it on a rope like that, I mean, that's like 50 yards on a dime in somebody's hands. So for those who are questioning Milroe's deep throwing abilities, we've been talking about this since
all season.
The jump, right? And that's what he's able to do. It's not just throwing the ball far. It's not just leading a receiver. It's also the velocity and diversity of throws that he can do deep. It's interesting, and Isaiah Bond also working the space. That's I have not seen holding onto the football, working the space, catching the football back there in a clutch moment. Bond deserves way more credit than he's getting, because you still have to execute that, right? Auburn, and I've said this before with Florida, the same thing applies to Auburn. Bad teams find ways to lose like that. That's what this is about. Bad teams find ways to lose. It's the same thing Florida did against Missouri. Florida, you want to look at Florida State. There's several examples in that game, if we're being honest. There's several examples in the Auburn game. You guys are talking about the muff punt. There's no, like, the kid just I don't even think, it's not even like he misgauged the ball.
It was right there.
He actually had the ball. He actually had the ball, and he falls down, and just crazy stuff like that happens.
Beautiful.
Right? So that's the football game. Alabama took advantage and survived in advance, right? I mean, the other aspect of it too is that, Nina, you talked about Alabama people. I was down there a few weeks ago too, and all the Auburn fans were like, this is before the New Mexico State loss.
Yeah.
But they're all like, look, we know our football team ain't good, but we ready for Bama. That was their whole energy, was we're ready. And so you saw that. And I think it's refreshing as a college football fan. I think all of our teams have dealt with that. I mean, we dealt with it from OU. OU dealt with it from Oklahoma State. And Bama dealt with it from Auburn, where a team is literally looking at you like, we are literally spending multiple weeks preparing to beat you. Like, that's the only thing we care about.
Yeah, Jay,
right?
that's
And
what OU did to
We
us.
caught it from y'all as well, only because of timing of the season. We caught y'all
you're
so
right.
early in the season that it
Oh
just
no,
made sense to
They
prep.
were going to do that regardless. Y'all were the Super Bowl.
Who?
Yeah, no, it just mattered because of proximity. We
Bama.
caught Texas.
Nah,
in
you're
week
not gonna
2.
give y'all crap.
Well, yeah, it was both of us. Both of us have been planning
Both
all
of
summer to
us.
play each other. You know what I'm saying?
But Texas wanted it more because this was their Super Bowl. This was just another game for Bama.
Get the hell out of here. just like
He's
Texas
stoking
and
the
OU.
flames.
Oh, here, hey,
stoking
hey,
the flames.
hey, just like Texas was OU Super Bowl. We saw what happened after that damn game. You got shirts and shit
we
made.
supposed to be each other's Super Bowl. What are you talking about? We're
You got
rivals.
We got shirts and shit made. Look
Oh
at you.
man, hey.
Don't go to the Pop-Tart Bowl this year.
Wow.
That's right.
You
That's
spend the entire offseason in Norman, Oklahoma, doing your conditioning drills to 49 the entire summer. That's what y'all care about. Like, that was and credit to you, brother, y'all, because y'all pulled that off, right?
They
But
did. They did. You got to give them props.
that's what we also love about college football. Like, you see stuff like that, and you have to overcome it. Alabama overcame it. We didn't when we played y'all. We tripped up, and that's why we're in the position we're in right now.
Yeah, we'll talk about that later. Shit.
I love the way
Hey, Steven. Hey, Steven, man.
Nick's like, I ain't want to talk about this.
Hey, man.
Can we
but
go to another
talking
subject? New topic.
we're talking about bad teams kind of finding like any way to lose. I know Jay and Chris are probably pissed about this. BYU found a way to lose that game after being up.
Mother son of a biscuit, dog.
You know, because if BYU handles business, then we get a rematch. We get Texas OU again in Arlington and really get a middle finger to the Big 12.
That would have been beautiful.
But BYU could not understand the assignment. They didn't understand the assignment, right? And so they let the game slip up and, go into overtime. And you know what happens in, OT? The team that has the most talent usually wins out in overtime. They just do.
Always muscles it, yes.
Right? And so, look, man, Ollie Gordon is a hell of a running back, and he took over that game. But I know Jay's mad that BYU didn't take care of the assignment.
Bruh. I thought that BYU. I mean, they were up 24-6.
They were up.
It's the ultimate choke. See, that's the thing about it. I wouldn't have been mad if BYU was losing all game long and they lost the game. Kind of expected it, right? But the thing is, they were playing for a bowl berth. They had something to play for. But it wasn't even about us. It was about them making a bowl game.
But that's what happens when your team doesn't have enough talent, because they with every trick play, every fake punt, the onside kick in the first quarter.
They got a safety.
Yeah, they did all that to go up 24-6 or whatever, and then they ran out of trick plays, and then Oklahoma just forced it down them, and it just was what it was. But yeah, so talking about that, man, let's go ahead and talk about, since we got over the game from last week. That's the only SEC game that I think we should really talk about last week. To be honest,
you don't want to pile on to Billy Napier.
Yeah, let's go ahead and pile on Billy Napier then. Billy Napier, you had one assignment too, okay?
I see Steven's face.
Billy Napier, you had one assignment.
Steven had something.
I was gonna look, man. I was gonna give
smiling like that, man.
I was gonna give some bet Billy. I was gonna give him a pass today, okay? I was going to let the Bama game kind of ride out with what we talked about from last week. But yeah, let's go ahead and talk about Florida. Billy Napier and Florida Gators. You're in a swamp against a third string quarterback at that time, right? How do you let Florida State beat you when you had control of the game for the most part of the game in your damn home? Exhausting. You had one assignment. Bama's pissed. Texas is pissed. We could be right now. We could be the 5th ranked team and the 6th ranked team. Bama beats Georgia. Oregon and Washington State cancel each other out, and it's a guaranteed Bama and Texas in the college football playoffs playing against Michigan and the winner of Oregon, Washington. But Billy Napier, you screwed it up for everybody. Thank you. I'm done. I'm done with his ass. Somebody go ahead and cook him some more, man. I'm done.
Go ahead, Steven. I'm ready to hear from Steven, because Steven was licking his chops. Like he had the chambers ready. He got the clips right in front of him. Go ahead and put them out. Go put them shots out there.
I said this weeks ago.
You did?
After they lost to Arkansas, that there was no path for them to be bowl eligible. The season was over then. I said that, fellas. You're not going to beat they should have beaten Missouri, but I had them losing to Missouri. I had them losing to LSU. I had them losing the Florida State game, and that was even before the Jordan Travis situation. And I knew, regardless, whoever was in there, Tate Rodemaker or the other guy that came in after they tried to take the brother out, it doesn't even matter who's in there, because they will get in their own way. They got brothers over here fighting coaches on the sidelines and having a whole bunch of
y'all saw that? I was like, what is up with these people, man?
They fighting each other, dog.
Are you push the coach out the way? Like, really? That's what we doing today?
I wish he had that same sort of energy for the ops. They would have gotten their ass whooped.
I mean, you ain't wrong, Ty, but you have to say it.
Oh my God.
Actually, you did. I'm glad you said it.
Oh,
you
man.
can shed me on the sideline, but you can't shed no blocks to tackle the Florida State running back running down your throat.
You can push me away, but you can't push down a defender.
Yeah.
You can't push down the offensive player
nasty,
either.
Bro.
Florida's
man.
But look,
bad.
I think everybody on this panel at the top of the year, I think every one of us had them going 5-7. I think Chris had them going 6-6. But I mean, every
Yeah,
one
I
of
had
us
them making
said this
bowl
team
games.
sucks.
Yeah, Chris is the only person that had him winning more than 5 games.
Yeah. So 5-7, 6 wins. That was the max that we had this team winning. Look, man, they're pretty bad, dude.
Can you highlight James's comment? James Thrice.
Yeah, just right here.
Yeah, that one. That right there is what will doom them ultimately, because
Yeah.
I do think that he's going to survive this off. I mean, at this point, they're not going to get another coach per se, but he's going to be the scapegoat for next year. Next year, they have the hardest schedule I may have ever seen.
Oh, it's stupid.
Go look at Florida's schedule next
Look
year.
at man. I'm gonna pull up right now. Yeah, he's done. He might be 4-8 next year.
He wins 4 games next year?
Bad, dude.
It's horrible. He might win 3 out of conference games and 1 SEC game. I'm seriously. It's a bad schedule, man. It's a bad schedule for him. Oh Lord.
I'm looking at this now.
I mean,
He's
there's
got
nothing
Samford.
you see.
Ooh, UCF.
There's
UCF
nothing you
might cook
see
'em.
from Billy that is like. I know that the reason why I'm so adamant about this, and I think Nino is too,
God.
is we know what it like. I saw it when
Christ.
Charlie Strong. I'm sorry, he's like the white Charlie Strong. Like I
Damn.
saw it happen. I
Wow.
saw it where it's just
Leave that man alone,
everything
man.
that can go wrong will go wrong. Anything that can go wrong will go wrong.
You got Charlie out
is
here
what it
catching
is.
strays right now.
The question is, who's
No
worse, him
disrespect to I like
or
Charlie,
Cristobal?
just like I like Billy. I like these people. They're good people. They're good guys. Like this, I'm not throwing shade at Billy Napier because he's a dick or something like that.
He's just not a good coach.
Okay,
It's
which
just
one's worse
not-
though?
Like it's just way over his head over there, and you can see it on the sideline.
Yeah,
We
yeah.
saw it on the sideline
he's
in the
cooked.
Utah game to start the season.
Yeah, I mean
He's
you're
cooked.
right. He's cooked. All right, so who's worse though? Is it Cristobal or is it Napier?
Napier.
I mean,
because
Cristobal's got the
Cristobal-
time the Neal fiasco where a fumble just happens magically when you're about to win the game.
Yeah, but his
Twice.
players don't have
Twice.
twice, but his players they don't have a lack of quit, right? Like they don't quit. I'm not saying Florida players just quit, but they did, like his team, they don't even look comfortable over there, right? At least Miami's team looks halfway comfortable, right? Like
so bad.
they play decent. They just don't have the talent right now. Man, Billy looks bad, dude.
And they're very undisciplined. Miami's like undisciplined, but I feel like they can be reeled in, and he just doesn't have to face the same type of teams
And he doesn't.
in the ACC right now.
True.
And so,
Fair point.
it's if Mario gets a quarterback and a couple other guys, he'll win 8-9 games over there. It's not insurmountable like it feels like with Florida.
Now I've heard a
so-
campaign around Jimbo Fisher going somewhere, and I
or
don't
West-
know. Yeah, West Virginia. I don't know how I feel about it though.
I mean, because he's from West Virginia. And so it kind
Correct.
of makes sense.
But they went 8-4 this year. You want to fire your dude who went 8-4
No.
and who was said they were supposed to go 14th in the conference?
Look
Like,
here,
what are we
So
doing
he
here?
can go 4-8.
Jimbo's not getting a job for another year and a half, maybe 2 years, man. He's not doing it right now.
You think he's getting a Jameis Winston to go to West Virginia? You think he's getting all them? No, he'll go $3 billion there.
Jimbo's going to
point.
take that. Jimbo's taking that $76 million. And
You know, the funny thing is about that contract,
what?
there's no offset.
Yeah, there's no offset. So he gets $76 million regardless. And if he gets hired from like another freaking team and they pay him $5 million, he's getting the $5 million a year on top of the $76 million. Like Sexton, you are my dude, man. If I ever get big, Jimmy, hey man, I'm
Call me,
calling
bruh.
you. I'm calling you, big dude.
Well, I think he's lost a step.
No, he ain't
be
lost
honest.
shit.
I think he has. You see that Elko contract?
I mean, what he got $7 million.
Yeah. So you know why they didn't take Mark Stoops, right? Because he's currently making $9 million, and
Yeah.
Texas A&M said, "Hell no, we won't do that." Jimmy Sexton should have told them, "Okay, I want 10." That's the Jimmy Sexton I know. That man's lost a step. That's
He ain't lost a
embarrassing.
step.
That
Nah.
contract is embarrassing. We'll talk about that later, but that was embarrassing.
Hey, you know what though?
Yeah,
Since we're
let's get to the SEC championship.
yeah,
game.
yeah, yeah,
Enough
man.
of
Let's get to
these
that.
lame
Hey, man,
coaches.
Georgia versus Alabama. It's gonna be a hell of a game. Really, I don't think it's gonna be a hell of a game. I think Georgia's gonna curve some of you guys. Ty, I'm sorry, bro.
Whoa.
Damn.
Whoa.
He just came out and just said, "What a knife at? Come here. Let me just."
Whoa.
No, I think
want to know
Georgia's-
why you said why is
Yeah,
Georgia going to curb
I think
stomp
George
them?
is good, but I have reasons to believe.
Man, I just think Georgia right now, like everybody wants to look at the last game against Georgia Tech, and they're like, "Oh, it was close." I said, "Dude, they had 8 starters out. They didn't play 8 starters that game."
True.
Like, I mean, it's like honestly, they should have won by 16 points. Georgia Tech comes in and scores that weak ass touchdown at the end. I get it. You know, you got to play the game to the end. I shouldn't say curb stomp. I'm sorry, Ty. I shouldn't say curb stomp, but I think Georgia's going to win this game. I just think.
What does that mean though? When you because curb stomp's like 2 touchdowns, 3 touchdowns,
Three
like,
touchdowns.
Three touchdowns.
Yeah,
Curb
yeah.
Curb stomp
you
is
gonna
3. It's a
skunk
minimum
them
3.
boys. Like, what does curb stomp mean, Nino?
You saying barbecue chicken over here? What's the call?
I think Georgia wins. Oh shit! This is good. I think Georgia wins by 13. I got him. I got him a touchdown and 2 field goals ahead.
Georgia's currently favored by 4.
I get
It's
it.
dropping. It's
I-
dropping.
I understand it. Totally fine with.
Let me go to.
I'm totally fine with the line. I'm totally fine with the line. I just when Georgia lost Brock Bowers, something clicked in that team to say it's no time for us to play with food anymore. It's time for us to ball, and they have. My God, they have flipped a switch. I don't know what switch they flipped. It's just like, okay, championship mode, and they just put the switch on. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, I got him by 13. I'm 10 to 13 points is that range I got him.
So in some spots in Vegas, for the most part, opening line was 4. It's moved up to 6 with all the money on Georgia. So that tells me that Vegas does think that Georgia's going to win this game by a lot. And they're trying to balance the line out because 71% of the cash is on Georgia, 61% of the tickets. But all of the sharps are picking Alabama to cover that spread. So I would personally, I'm picking Bama to cover, at least minimum, if not win. Because everybody's on Georgia. Just like as you said, curb stomping. That's all I've heard this numerous times.
I shouldn't have said
from
curb
people.
stomp. I shouldn't have
But
said
I've
curb
actually
stomp. That
heard
was
people
wrong.
say, "Oh man, Georgia's gonna
That
get
was
them.
wrong.
Georgia's
That
gonna
was
blow
wrong.
them.
Too late to
No,
take
Georgia's
it
gonna
back.
beat them.
No.
Ty is upset now. It's too late to take it back, brother.
Yeah, Shady Miles and
The
now Shady Miles ain't
disrespect was
having that.
already-
I said
The
13
shade.
points. So look here, this is why I say this, man. I think Georgia's going to take away the run for Milroe, and I want to see.
They haven't been able to do it yet
Nah, ain't done it
against
to
a
anybody
mobile
this season.
quarterback.
Yeah,
We'll
they
see.
haven't.
I mean, I got you,
Peyton
but
Thorne killed them.
I understand that. But
How does
Kirby's
Thorne-
playing. It's going to get dangerous.
I
It's going
hear
to get
you.
dangerous.
I hear you, but there are 2 things that they have not done well with. Mobile quarterbacks, and whenever you can do some almost sweep type plays with your running game, it has killed their defensive line. In fact, one of the great content creators for Georgia, the film guy, he put together an hour and 30-minute film study on how there are leaks in the Georgia defense in some of these things that Alabama does really well. Now, I don't necessarily know that that's going to win you the game, right? Like, you have to be so balanced. But
it'll
that's
keep it
just to
close.
say that, like, this is a matchup that is going to be really fun and really interesting because Alabama does have a way to move the ball, and the way they're utilizing Milroe right now is a little bit different in terms of some of the running options, and it's going to be a ton of fun.
Yeah.
What I
it's gonna be a good one.
saw, one thing I saw out of that too, and I think it was Pate that mentioned this on a different pod from his own, was Georgia's biggest problem is they don't have elite linebacker play like they normally do. I think their linebackers have 1 sack this season. So because they're not getting the pressure they would traditionally get at the linebacker position, their defense has a lot more holes that Alabama can exploit. And you know Nick Saban paid attention to that. You know Nick Saban knows these numbers. And you know Saban and them are scheming specifically to get those linebackers in the wrong spots on a regular basis to exploit it. That's the only reason why I think this game stays very close, is that that smart defense does require linebackers to be good. Luckily for them, this entire season, they've been the more talented team on the field. So they've just abused everybody just by pure talent. I think that once they go against Bama, those linebackers are going to be critical. And I think that's what's going to be exploited where Bama can go in there and do some things. Because, Ty, you're right. They can't handle sweeps well. And that's really on the linebackers, if you really think about it. They're the ones supposed to close that in. If you can't set the edge, linebackers supposed to be there to clean that up. They're not doing that right now.
And can't handle, that's a large term, right? Relative to they
What
don't
they used
do
to.
it as well as being that Georgia that absolutely shuts that, like that's the way you've seen them attack it.
Exactly. We're used to Georgia shutting everything down from the beginning, nothing. And that's not what they look like this year. Like, you know what I'm
Oh, so-
interested in too, outside of this game, is next season when they come
Thanks for
down
the
there to
super
Austin.
chat, Mr. Wisner.
Derek Wisner. So that is Trey Wisner's uncle, right? Anybody knows who Trey Wisner is? He's number 26.
Hey.
You know, for Texas, who just got his first touchdown this past weekend against Texas Tech.
I saw you tweeting that out, man.
Yeah,
That's
man,
good.
and also had 3 tackles. Man, Trey is a baller. He's a stud, man. He reminds me a lot of RT, which is Ramon Taylor there for Texas. But he's saying Milton rushes for 150 and upsets the Dogs. I'm pretty sure he means Milrow. But yeah, hey
Milton's
man,
a running back for Georgia.
yeah. Look, it's going to be interesting.
Talking about Kendall Milton.
Yeah, you know, but he says Milton rushes for 150 and upset the Dogs. So I'm thinking it means Milrow rushes for 150 to upset the Dogs. But yeah, we'll see.
But Kendall Milton is a bad boy, though. He's a very and look, that's something Bama's got to stop too, right? Like Bama's got to figure out a way. The last few games, Bama's been susceptible to the run as well. They're not stopping it as well as I would like them to, and Georgia has the ability to generate the run, especially with how balanced that offense is. So it's going to be a really interesting game. Plus, you got to deal with Brock Bowers, right? Like
That's the thing. That's the thing. I mean, he is the mismatch problem for anybody in America. And it's just something I'm telling you, when he left the game and got hurt and didn't have to play, it's like Georgia just figured out a way on, I need to be able to unlock more talent on this team. And by God, they've done it. And it's like ever since the Auburn game, they have been pretty lights out. Minus the Missouri game, they won by 9 points against Missouri. But I think every other game since then has been a double-digit win, which could actually favor in for Alabama here. Now that I think about it, because you know, Georgia has been kind of riding on the high lately, and they've only been tested since the Auburn game, probably against Missouri, right? But
they also haven't seen edge duo like Dallas Turner and Chris Braswell. And I don't know if y'all saw the advanced stats from that Auburn game, but those dudes right there, I think both of them graded as over a 90.
Yeah. It's going to be interesting.
That's where I want to interject on this, because I think if we do like the boxing tail of the tape, I think it paints a little different picture, because Alabama has the edge pass rushing wise. They have the edges. Georgia's edges haven't been dynamic like that. They're good. They're sound. They but like Ty said, they have been exploited to the outside running the football. I like JDJ in the middle over there at Georgia, and they got some good players. They're not like, I actually give the edge of a linebacker play also to Alabama. So that's 2 out of the 3 levels that I'm giving to Alabama. I give Georgia's defensive interior line, I give them probably the edge. Alabama having Dallas Turner and Braswell on the other side, and just being able to have that combination of guys. That's going to be, we got to see, Beck deal with that, right? We got to see him handle that pressure. And if Alabama's able to stop the run consistently, yes, he has Brock Bowers. He has Ladd McConkey.
That's Ladd's another thing.
Ladd, those guys are clutch. They're big game players. I get it. But it's different when Dallas and them are getting off. And, now, you're a little hurried and whatnot. So I got to see. And I like Carson Beck. And I think he's been very measured. He looks like a young, reminds me a lot of Matt Ryan when he came out of Boston College. Like, he has a lot of those
I can see that
type of traits. And he's just really composed.
He's very composed.
Throws a really good ball. But he hasn't faced those type of edge that, especially in the SEC East. I mean, they haven't faced that this year. And it's not like they didn't get tested out of conference either. So this is the test in terms of having to block that up.
So
The other
Ty,
thing too is
oh yeah,
I have one more thing
you go ahead.
with Bowers. What's the plan? Do you do a bracket and have like Caleb Downs or somebody over there that athletically can actually at least laterally move with them? Strength wise, no, but at least something to to make you think when you're throwing his way. Or I'm just curious about those type of matchups, because I think it's going to be really interesting. Like Bama has weapons back there, to at least coverage wise. Malachi Moore, Caleb Downs. I think Downs is probably the guy that I would maybe assign. I don't know how you guys are going to do it though.
That'd be interesting. Hey Ty, so tell me this: what defense has Bama faced this year that's as good as Georgia's?
Well, I mean, when you look at it, whenever we faced A&M, they were actually ranked higher in pass defense than was Georgia. Now A&M has had to play offenses like, LSU, Bama, which Milroe threw for 300 yards. But A&M, they have a top 30 offense. Tennessee has a top 30 defense. I mean, both of those teams have solid defenses. Auburn secondary actually had been incredibly stingy this year. I think they were a top 30 secondary. Their rush defense has been atrocious, but secondary-wise. So I don't think that they've played a defense as good as Georgia, but there are defenses that they've played that, like, easily stack up. Like, I think Tennessee had generated more sacks because Bama and Tennessee have more sacks than Georgia.
Yeah.
A&M is keeping opponents to about the same yards per game in the past. So I don't know if as good, but fairly analogous.
Okay. How about offensive wise? What teams do you think?
Much better. LSU.
Oh yeah.
no
Oh yeah.
question.
Oh
No
yeah. Oh
question.
yeah. Definitely. Definitely
fair
LSU.
point.
So they're probably the best offense in the SEC and possibly the country. But other than LSU, that's kind of like an outlier, right? I mean, like they're just damn good, right? So
Ole Miss is good offensively.
Texas as well for both defense and offense.
Texas.
yeah, I like Ole Miss, but I don't know. It's just something about Lane. You guys know how I feel about Lane Kiffin.
Yeah, but you can't deny that.
I know.
Every metric, they're outstanding offensively. You can't deny that.
Yeah,
What
yeah.
they put up this year.
It's just the big games. He just sucks. It's like he just forgets how to call plays.
Also, do we trust Jalen Milroe against that? That's where I'm at too.
That's
Do we
that's
trust
why I
Jalen
said what I
Milroe
said.
against-
But Jalen's been proving people wrong
He
ever since
passed
the
for over
Texas
300
game.
yards against also the offense has been totally different. Like,
It has.
I know I saw someone say just put a spy on him like Texas did. If that plan was enacted today, I'm not saying the winner or loser would change. I'm saying that exact plan would not work. They tried to put Perkins to spy him, and Perkins couldn't spy him because the offense fundamentally changed with the pre-snap motions that weren't being ran. I think when we were running against the first 3 to 4 weeks, we were running pre-snap motion at around 15% of the time. Now it is exponentially increased. 12 personnel, exponentially increased. So listen, I'm not saying that I'm saying the way that they've utilized Jalen Milroe has massively changed over the year. He hung 300 yards against A&M, which is a top 25 secondary in the nation, top 30. I mean, he's been able to do it. He's cut turnovers down as well.
I think he's going to be able to run in between the 20s. I'm not actually. I don't think you can have a plan to stop somebody that athletic and cut it all out, especially because so much of his stuff comes off script.
Yeah, that's true.
Where that's more dangerous than stopping design runs. Quite frankly, like the off script stuff where he is looking to pass and it's like, all right, it's not there. I can tuck and run, or extending plays. My thing with him is just the decision making element. He bailed himself out last week because of his talent level, and he's able to he has a nuclear arm, and he was able to just bomb it and get out of it. But let's not forget the play before he crosses the line of scrimmage and goes 2 yards downfield.
And that was twice in that game. He did it twice in the game. He crossed the line of scrimmage twice in that game.
He still has those moments where I'm like, what is going
What
through
are
your
you
mind?
doing?
That's the only thing
Processing-wise.
that's why I said what I said, because when I look at it against Georgia, you can't make those mistakes against Georgia. Look, you're not converting 4th and 31 on Georgia. I'm sorry, it's not happening. It's not happening.
Yeah, but that's not exactly like a problem that's been plaguing the season. That was the first time it happened all season. One of those, I think he was very certain he was behind the line when he threw the pass to Nyblack in the end zone.
Yeah.
He had just crossed. The other one was egregious. But as far as decision making, I mean, yes, earlier on in the season, he only has 6 interceptions in the year. I mean, we look at a guy like, I don't think y'all are necessarily questioning Quinn. He's got 5.
No, we question him.
Okay, well, then well, hey, when I question him, I had Truth write me a synopsis when I said he wasn't going in the first round. I had a book written on my page that was telling me why he was.
And those are lower. Those Quinn. I mean, if you look at Quinn or Jalen, they're lower with the amount of throws. They're actually lower percentage on the turnover from a turnover perspective.
And that's my point. I don't think
are.
Quinn has a turnover problem. That was
No,
my
he
point in
doesn't.
comparing them is
No,
to
he
say
doesn't.
like I'm not as worried about Jalen because his turnovers and stuff are more analogous to Quinn, and I don't believe Quinn is like problematic in terms of decision making.
Fair point.
Yeah, that's fair. It's going to be interesting though. It's going to be a good game. The only thing that might so look, I got Georgia winning the game, but the only thing that might kind of hinder me from saying that out loud is because do I think Saban's going to get beat twice in one season by 2 assistants, by 2 former assistants? That's another thing.
That's
Saban,
what's tough.
say, hey man, we can say it want to by Saban. Saban keeps receipts. He keeps them notes down like, Sark got me. Kirby ain't about to get my ass this year. You know what I'm saying? It's like, he'll get one a year for like the last, 2 or 3 years, right? But man, it's going to be interesting. It's going to be good. It should be a very good game. I do got Georgia in this game. I got him by about 10, man, 10 to 13 points. But it just depends on, like Steven says, Jalen Milrose, his process when it comes to just making some sound judgment decisions. The game against Auburn, like I said, he had the 2 passes that were, past the line of scrimmage. You can't have that. One of them cost him a touchdown. I'm just kind of cherry picking here, right? There's been other plays where the accuracy for balls in between like the 5 and the 15, they're not there all the way. I look at that game against LSU and he sprints to the left and he has Nyblack right there in the corner at the 1 yard line and he's open for a touchdown and he literally lofts the ball 5 yards over his head. I'm like, what the hell is going on? Now his feet got him in the end zone like 2 plays later. Right. So that's the things that makes up for him. But it's just a matter of can Auburn kind of hinder his running to where they have to make him be a straight passer. If Auburn can kind of hinder his running and not let him go all the way off, then we'll see what happens. But I still got Georgia
I have
winning
some
the game.
questions for you, right?
Yeah.
So what defense has Georgia played this season that's even remotely comparable to what Bama's going to be fielding?
Probably none.
What offense have
Maybe-
they played
maybe
that's even
Tennessee?
remotely comparable to what Alabama will be fielding? Missouri probably is the
Probably,
closest
yeah.
there.
So probably Missouri. As far as defense,
Missouri's the best offense.
Yeah, Missouri's
Yeah.
a better offense in terms of right now. I grant you that, no doubt.
So like offensive wise, Missouri, defensive wise, probably Tennessee would be their next closest defense. And then also offensive wise, since we said that, Ole Miss was an offense that Bama played that was, as good as Georgia. They played Ole Miss and put the paws on it 52-17. Right. So, I mean, so if we're going to say the same thing for Ole Miss with Bama, we got to say the same thing for Georgia, So
Right.
No, Ole Miss is
I
a
think
top
the
offense
reason-
because of their rushing, which isn't going to work against both Bama and Georgia, which is why
Right.
That's interesting.
That's why
Unless you got a
Missouri
scrambling
was
quarterback
only-
that knows how
they
to
were
do it.
limited.
yeah.
Jackson Dart isn't a scrambling quarterback like that. Like he can scramble, but he ain't like that.
I don't think he had 250 yards in those games combined.
who Jackson?
Yeah.
It's going to be interesting, man.
I feel weird. Here's why I feel weird about the game, though. I feel as though Alabama has a higher floor than Georgia does. I really do.
I agree with
I
you there.
actually I trust Alabama's floor more than I trust Georgia's floor, just because I just feel they're more battle tested this year. I think the point of this exercise, I mean, it is what it is. Alabama's more battle tested this year. However,
That's fair.
if I see the Georgia team that I saw in the second half of Tennessee, then they're going to win the game. If that Georgia team that I saw that went into Neyland and played the way that they did, where it's just total domination and they're controlling the entire field, even Joe Milton can't go anywhere, then I think it's going to be really, really difficult. So I think Georgia has a higher ceiling in this football game, but I actually trust Alabama, and that's what's making me so uncomfortable to pick this game, honestly, because I've seen too many times where Georgia's come out flat. I've seen too many times where Georgia's given up big plays. People are talking about, oh, don't pay attention to last week against Georgia Tech. They had starters out, blah blah blah. Georgia's been playing games like that all year.
Yeah.
They've had moments like that all season long. They've had stretches where they've looked like OG Georgia, 28-game win streak Georgia. Yeah. And if that comes up and they play that way a whole 4 quarters, then good luck, Ty. But I trust Florida's floor, but more. I trust Alabama's floor more. In this
I don't
game.
know.
I don't know why, but I
Steven.
do.
Hey, Steven, I got a question on that. I think when you say like battle tested, to be honest with you, minus Bama playing Texas, I think their SEC schedules have both teams have been pretty. This is my opinion. They got 4 common opponents, right? Or 3 common opponents. You got Kentucky, you got Auburn, you got Tennessee. So that's 3 common opponents, right? And then you look at, Bama's other conference opponents, Mississippi State's, it's nobody. Let's just keep it real, right? LSU, I will give them LSU, right? I will give them LSU. That's a tough one. But Chattanooga, Arkansas. Come on now, we're talking about Arkansas.
You embarrass me in public again.
And then Texas A&M. And so I think you take away, okay, Bama
has good defense though.
Yeah, I mean but their offense sucks. I mean, it's a 7-5 team. I mean, they're not a good balanced team. There's a reason why they've lost 5 games this year and probably should have lost more. I'm just being honest. They're not a good team. They're just not. Arkansas is not a good team. Mississippi State's not a good team.
Arkansas embarrassed me in public. I'm so mad about that.
But LSU is a good team. I like Tennessee. Even though Tennessee's offense wasn't the best this year, but I think Heupel did a hell of a job with what he was given this year. What is 8-4 this year? And then Auburn. Auburn is a like you say, it's a tricky game, right, Todd? I mean, especially at Auburn.
With Auburn.
Yeah.
They both struggle with Auburn, and they both had to play at Auburn.
Yeah.
I think the thing is, like, Alabama had that epic second half against Tennessee as well.
Yeah.
Whereas I felt like Georgia beat the shit out of Tennessee. I think that's that there's a little difference there. They both played Ole Miss though.
Yeah.
And
Georgia put pause on Ole Miss, 52-17.
Ole Miss was week 4 for us though, right?
Yeah, it was week 4.
That was the week after Jalen was benched.
That's true. It's a week after he was benched.
That is true. That was his first game back.
That was his first game back. It's a travesty by Saban for sitting that kid, but he needed reps, man. But look, man, it's gonna be a good game. Game's gonna be a good game, man. I'm excited
on this. We'll have to continue this one on Bleacher Report.
Yeah. On Friday.
This conversation. TBD
All right.
on this.
Let's talk about. I don't want to talk about playoffs yet. Let's talk about new coaches. Let's talk about Texas A&M going to get Mike Elko. Dudes, what a boondoggle of a coaching search by A&M. You fire a coach, you pay him $76 million to leave. You give him $76 million to leave. His assistants get another $15 or $16 million also to leave as well. So A&M's in the hole now for $90 to $100 million to get rid of Jimbo, and they're supposed to do this extensive coaching search and everything. And we're hearing names behind the scenes. We're hearing Ryan Day, and we're hearing Dabo Swinney, and Mike. Not Mike, but Mark Stoops from Kentucky. And from all accounts, it seemed like Stoops had the job. And we were talking about this prior to to actually get on the show, and Stoops is making $9 million a year, and he wanted to up that salary a little bit more. And so they say no to Stoops, and then they go to Mike Elko. So essentially, Texas A&M fired Jimbo Fisher to just go hire his defensive coordinator from 2 years ago.
Who was there during their struggles.
He was there during their struggles. So if we're going to talk about culture, right, and how bad the A&M culture is and what it was like, this was probably the second or third in command of A&M at that time. Now, I'm not putting this on Elko. That's a Jimbo problem. And then, honestly, there have been reports that say Elko and Jimbo weren't the best of friends, and he didn't really jive with some of the things that were going on with Jimbo. But for A&M to fire a guy and give him and his staff around $90 to $100 million, and then you come back to the guy that everybody thought you were going to get in the first place, I just thought it was pretty comical. It just let us know they didn't have a plan when they fired Jimbo. They had no plan at all.
So it's funny to me on that. So the first portion of it is the fact that they had a guy from a basketball school that's a consistent 7-5 guy. They balked on paying him what he's already making in the SEC, which is $9 million. They basically were going to kind of keep the salary close to the same. That's what they took to the board, and the board said, absolutely not. We're not paying him that kind of money. He's like, but he's making that in Kentucky. We don't care. Fine. So we're going to go to another guy that's at a basketball school that has a 7-5 record that also wears blue. We're going to bring him in instead because he was one of us. One of us. One of us. One of us. And what makes it so funny, but I'm going to say this. I think Elko was a good hire because he retains that entire defensive staff.
That's true.
You upgrade Elijah Robinson. You don't lose like the Hicks, the DJ Hicks, the Overtons, and all those people that they wanted to keep defensively. They can do that. Now they got to find themselves a quarterback. Riley Leonard just entered the portal, and Riley Leonard ain't following him. He's going to Notre Dame most likely. Hell, I think if I'm correct, Whip Phone just put in a prediction for him to go there. So it's like instantaneous. Well, never mind. He's not following. They've got to find their quarterback to do it. And so, to me, hiring
y'all are done with
him.
Connor Weigman?
That's what I'm about to say. What's up with Connor, man?
We're done with Connor Weigman. Damn.
Well, depends. If he can get Johns to follow him from Duke, I think he'll be fine. But the question is, who's going to be his OC? Because there's a good chance Duke may try to promote Johns and keep him there and try to keep some continuity since Elko bounced.
And Duke's not like a football school, so they'll be willing to take that risk and actually promote a guy, pay him a little bit less than what they're paying Elko probably, and still see if they can ride it and get a 7-5, 8-4 season. It makes sense for Duke.
Right. It makes 100% sense for Duke. So the question's going to be, how is that going to work for them is basically the question I have. How is that going to work? Like, does that make sense to do that? Do you see yourselves, for Duke, do they see themselves staying at the same level of 7-5 with Johns? And does A&M have an actual plan of offensive side of the ball? Because that's where their issue is.
Yeah.
I mean, Bobby Petrino just bounced and went back to Arkansas, which we got to talk about that at some point.
Yeah.
I'm going to tell you, that's a ploy to give him the head coaching job next year. We'll talk about that more.
He's getting it.
I'll have a contract to stay away from motorcycles.
Dog, the funniest situation ever in college football. This dude was involved in a neck brace because he was getting some cat on the side, and this man the board found a way to get him back. The neck brace just set us all over because that ish was fake. But the fact that they found a way to bring him back just tells you how terrible Arkansas is. But I digress. Texas A&M.
Yeah.
Go out there, get you one of these young, innovative OCs, and just run some damn tempo until you figure out what you're going to do at quarterback. Just do it, Nike.
All the rumors have been maybe Cliff Kingsbury comes back to A&M, but now that's shot down because I heard he's running for U of H job, right?
Yeah, he's going to Houston, baby.
So,
he's going to be a Houston coach.
Man, like how does he keep getting shots? I don't know. But anyways, he was
because of what he did at Texas A&M, which I'm trying to figure out why Texas A&M didn't try to hire him as coach. Their problem is that they keep hiring these defensive. Well, Jimbo's an offensive guy, so never mind. They keep hiring offensive guys that don't produce.
I know he's a Jameis guy. He's not an offensive guy.
Yeah, this is their first defensive head coach hire since Slocum.
That's true.
Yeah.
Honestly, since Slocum, they've always, if you go
James, I'm
back,
sorry.
even to Sherman, Sherman was the offensive guy.
That's
Yeah.
fair. That's fair.
All those guys, right? Even coming from the NFL. So I talked to my A&M buddy today a little bit via text. Shout out to JP. JP's another Aggie here. To be fair to that, I think Elko's a good hire.
Yes.
Because I know Elko's a good football coach. If you ask me just straight up and down, can Mike Elko coach? Yes.
Hell yeah, he can coach.
Yes. We've
Watch that
sung
Duke
his
team. They look
praises on this-
physical. Yeah.
Yes.
And he's
There's
young,
no
too.
question about his ability to coach. And he has a relationship with a lot of players on that roster currently. And he has a relationship with Elijah Robinson, who at least can keep them dogs there on the defensive line and hold things at bay. My question is more for A&M. Is he going to have the ability to structure his program the way he wants to do it?
Mm-hmm.
Listening to his press conference, he sounds like a football coach. He talked about conditioning over the offseason. It wasn't a sexy, flashy, we're gonna go win the SEC, we're gonna go to the playoffs. He's saying, hey, we need to figure out how to take advantage of these resources to make ourselves live up to our potential. That's how he's talking, which I agree with. I think that's a very fair and pragmatic approach. And so my thing is, when you put a person like that there, though, will he be equipped to do everything that he wants to do and the way that he wants to do it? And are they going to spend money or not even spend money, but allow him to go out and get the best offensive, because that is a question. And that's a very fair question. Until we see who that person is, we won't know what the talent looks like. But I do know that Mike Elko knows what he's doing. I don't question whether or not he's competent or anything like that. My questions are for A&M. Are they going to be able to listen? And if he says at times, get out the room, I got this. I don't want you guys involved in a recruitment or this or that, because the other thing with Elko is he's not the most dynamic, hands-on recruiter. Now he's going to have Elijah to help with that, and he'll have some other coaches that are volume recruiters to go out and get players. But the school has to be an understanding of his strengths and his weaknesses as well. And until I see Texas A&M move better as an organization, especially the way that they conducted this hire, I'm going to have questions.
Ty, how about you? You kind of chomping at the bits, man. What's going on?
I mean,
He's
the
been
thing
drooling. Look at him.
that blows me away about this is that whenever they got rid of Jimbo, it was like, okay, well, you have a plan. You have to have a plan. You did this in the middle of the season. Like, why else would you do this in a time where you open up an immediate 30-day transfer portal window that coincides with the first transfer portal window? Like, you're just begging for your now. Credit to A&M, they have not had the exodus that everybody anticipated. And I think, listen, from what I've heard, a lot of that has to do with Elijah Robinson. And hats off to him. I mean, retaining him is the most important thing they can do, quite frankly. I agree completely with Stephen. I think Elko's a really good coach. I do think it's interesting, though, that whenever we talk A&M, the biggest issue, it's culture. Mm-hmm. Right? Like it's the fact that they've had good coaches. They've had coaches that have had success elsewhere. It's so the common theme isn't the guys that are coming in there. The common theme is the institution. And my biggest question is, how is this going to work? Because he was a part of this Jimbo culture, which was so poor. He may have wanted to do it different, but like, how does he rectify the way the administration handled it? I'm just fascinated. At the end of the day, though, I thought Elko was the right hire. We talked about this whenever the position became available. I thought they would jump on Elko immediately. Yeah. He can coach football. I completely agree with everything y'all have said. I'm just really interested because now it's almost like we're getting back to the same issue we've been having. Once again, Texas A&M is going to have a good defense, which you've had for years. What's going to happen with the offense? Like, that's my biggest question. You've had a good defense. This story has been the same. You have not had an offense. What does that look like?
Hey guys, look, man, I got to add something to this too. Elko's he's a young coach, which is like 46 years old. He's not an old coach, right? So this is a guy, if he is good and he's the guy, he'll be there 15, 20 years, right? Because this is a job at A&M that if you're good at this job, and I know Texas fans are going to hate me for saying this, you can win there. You got all the resources. I mean, you got all the talent there in the state. You're going to fight for talent now between Texas and Texas A&M and Oklahoma. All those guys are right now in your backfield now with the SEC. But there's only 20 to 25 guys that are going to be signed every year. The top 100 guys in the state of Texas are all 4-star kids. They're 4 and 5-star kids. You got talent in the state, especially in that Houston region. But he's a fairly young head coach. He's only had 2 years of coaching experience. And at Duke, right? At Duke, being a head coach at Duke, the expectations aren't that large. He can go in there, he can win 7 or 8 games, and they were ecstatic. And I get it because that team was 3-9, right? They were ecstatic. A&M, let's be honest, 24 with the talent that A&M has in that team, this is supposed to be their year next year. With all that talent they got, this is supposed to be A&M's year. And so A&M has all that talent. Jimbo was supposed to bring in Bobby Petrino to run that offense and let him handle his business and do his thing. And this was the year coming up where they're supposed to just murder people because that talent has matured. They seasoned for a little bit, and now they're able to do great things. You got Connor Weigman. You got all the wide receivers there. You had a good offensive line per recruiting services. Now, they didn't develop into a great offensive line since Jimbo has been there over these last 2 years, but you got talent there. And like Ty said, this guy's a defensive guy. This is all going to come on who the hell is he going to hire as his offensive coordinator? And can they flip the switch in that offense immediately? Because if that offense can score 5 or 6 more points a game, A&M's a 9-3 team this year. Easy. They're a 9-3 team. If that offense can score 6 more points a game, which with the amount of talent that they have, they should be able to do that. They should be able to do that. All right. So look, man, he's a young head coach. It's his second head coaching stop, his 3rd year as a coach. The pressure is on him from day one to win immediately because that is one of the most stacked and talented rosters. When you're looking at just a talent, roster, it's one of the top 5 in the country as far as talent. The fan base wants him to win immediately. College football is going to be looking at him to win right now. And does he have the chops in him?
Fair?
It's not fair.
It's not.
It's not.
That's A&M.
But hey, Steven, it's not fair. But that's just the life that he inherited.
That's A&M, baby.
I agree with you.
Welcome to
I
SEC.
agree with you that 2024 was supposed to be the year, and this year was the year before the year where they were going to develop. But once they fired the coach, you're pulling the plug. The clock restarts, and so and that's why I have questions about. My questions are for A&M, not Mike Elko, because he has to not just rebuild. It's not just having talent. I agree with Ty. It's also the culture. It's also he has to do a lot of programming there of how things are done and having legitimate patience in doing things the right way and not having they paid all that bread to get those recruits there and to buy a national championship, but they didn't want to put in the work day in, day out the way Georgia did.
Yeah, to cultivate the talent, to develop them.
Yes. Like Kirby and them, like it was blood, sweat, and tears in March, in April, when nobody's watching. Whereas at A&M, you got individual kids working hard, but you got people doing all sorts of craziness. So he's going to have to clean some of that stuff up. He may have to tell some kids, you got to go. We don't even know. We still got to figure all that out. So to expect him, everybody has a gauntlet next year. We just talked about Florida's schedule. Everybody has a gauntlet next year in the new SEC. At this point, it's like, we got to pump the brakes, but you guys are right. That's
A&M.
What we'll be looking at.
Yeah.
And to me, Elko's more of a guy that's going to be a builder. It's not going to be sexy. It's not going to be overnight, but he's going to lay the brick properly, I think, and do it the right way. But will they give him grace?
Yeah, that's the question. Are they going to give them the opportunity to be able to do that? And Steven, you made a great point talking about the gauntlet of schedules, because when I looked at that, it was crazy how the considered top 4 teams coming into this conference with Alabama, Georgia, Oklahoma, and Texas, all 4 of them all play at least 2 of those teams each. Just like, wow. That the SEC is basically saying, look, we cannot have y'all going undefeated. We've got to make it to where somebody gets knocked down or something. Now, the question I ask is, when you got the rest of these bottom feeders out here with these easy but potentially schedules, are they going to try to coast their way into a conference championship game? Like, how is that going to work? Like that was perfectly set up to knock off the 4 of us. If all 4 of us lose one of those games each, right, and we all go basically lose one in some capacity, it's going to make it to where it's tough. Because when you look at looking at A&M schedule,
let me pull it up.
Let me look at A&M schedule.
I got something.
Go ahead.
Jay, I love you. Neo, I love you in chat.
I know you're going to say.
You said it's very fair that Nick avoids Colt. My brother, where did Nick play football? Where did he play college football?
I think that's why he said that.
Who said that?
That's why I think it's why he said that. That's why I agree with him. Because Saban played up there and he's like, I want to deal with this shit.
Oh, you talking about the weather?
I'm old.
He coached in Ohio, in Michigan. He played
He ain't
in
been there
Ohio.
since. He ain't been there since. When the last time
Because
he been
he's
up
with
there?
Alabama.
Right, exactly. He took
But
the job
my-
at the Dolphins purposely.
But he's notorious. Like, that's an
LSU.
asinine statement.
You know I had to give you shit.
That's
just for
an
the fun of it, Ty.
asinine statement.
It's just funny the thought that Nick Saban's like, I'm not playing in no cold weather locations no more. But when you look at his record, he ain't been there since early 2000 when he's at Michigan State. We ain't synced him there cold since.
That's because the best job in college football came open.
I mean,
And he
I'm
took
talking
it.
about LSU, starting with
Roll Tide.
LSU. LSU, then he goes to Miami, and the only reason why he left Miami is because their medical staff are idiots and thought that Drew Brees was done. They screwed up college football to this day. I hate those bastards. If they didn't do that, Nick Saban is still in the NFL.
I'll put
And
it
then
like
Alabama's
this. Nick
trying to figure out the
Saban
next
plays in January more than anybody else in big games, so I wouldn't worry about him in the cold.
Where in the cold in January does he play?
In damn domes.
Just
I don't want to
saying,
hear
it
that
don't
shit.
matter.
Right. He's either in a dome or he's in
in
the
a
South.
dome or he's in Florida.
Right. He's in the South
Or he's in
a
Tempe,
damn
Arizona
dome.
or something.
Arizona. He's in Dallas. He's in New Orleans.
No. Now, Jay, you're being disingenuous. You agreed that it could be a degree of advantage that OU could be 30 to 40 degrees. We're not talking tundra. We're
that's not
talking
that
40
cold.
degrees.
It gets 40 in Bama.
Asinine. It gets 40 in Bama. This is a wild discussion.
But you know,
He's
Look,
never
man.
led his team in a cold. That's just you don't know Nick Saban.
here you go. But hey, look here, man.
There's
Texas
some
A&M
plays
schedule
in
next
Good
year.
comments here.
Texas A&M
There's some
opens
good
up at Notre
comments here.
Dame. Oh,
Now,
go ahead.
I'd say this, though, that the Texas matchup was the first time that Saban's done a home-and-home series against a top team.
That's true.
Everything else has been neutral site.
True.
So usually in a dome.
But they're willing to do those neutral site games.
Well,
A
now-
lot of teams. No, I mean
Right.
2017 they scheduled number 2 Florida State.
Hey,
Yeah, no,
I mean,
no.
give me another
Bama's
team that's
always
giving you
willing
top
to do
10.
neutral site. It's the home that Saban has never wanted to do.
No, but yeah, for sure. But I said at least they were even able to do that. A lot of
No,
teams
I agree with you.
aren't even
I'm
doing
not
that.
even arguing that. I mean, you know, like Texas does them. You know, Oklahoma's traditionally done it. We've gone to Ohio State. They've come back. That was the only that was one of the knock that the talking heads have always had about Saban is that he refuses to go to other people's campuses and play. And I'm like, well, he's playing at a neutral site. I kind of get your argument, but at the same time, no, he's still willing to play other teams, even on a
Yeah.
neutral site situation, right? That's still something. Most teams won't even do that. They refuse to play anybody good outside of their conference when they can avoid it. Saban will do that. But Texas is the first home and home that we've seen. But anyway, cold-wise, yes, it does get 30, 40 degrees out in Tuscaloosa. I just wanted to just jive at you because I knew you paid. I knew you'd notice it, Ty. I knew you would.
hey,
You know
Jay.
me. I just don't like bad arguments. I did debate for too long.
Yeah, fair point. Fair point.
All right, so look here. Here's A&M schedule. They open up with Notre Dame next year, first game. And this is a great comment by JP here. You know, said, look, Riley's going to Notre Dame, more than likely. So Riley's going to be facing this old coach, all right? And so That's going to be a very interesting game there. But then they go to McNeese State. Okay, that's a win. Florida should be a win. Okay, Bowling Green should be a win. Arkansas should be a win. All right, 1, 2, 3, 4. We're looking at possibly 4-1, maybe 5-0 if they shock Notre Dame. Then they got LSU, but LSU is not going to have Daniels there next year, right? So who's the quarterback? It's a lot of changeover. That's true, but it's Nuss Daniels. Daniels is the best player in college football right now.
Oh, absolutely. But Nuss is going to cook. I'm not worried about that. That's one where I'm like, they going to reload. Not Daniels. You're right, not Daniels. But Nuss showed when he almost threw 100 on Georgia in the SEC championship game. I saw what I needed to see from him. But go ahead.
I got to see more of that because so they got LSU. Then they go New Mexico State. Oh my God. Come on, man. Why we got all these games? Like, this is one thing I'm going to hate about the SEC is playing these no-name teams in the middle of the season or at the end of the season. I don't want to see that shit, but it is what it is. It is what it is. So, all right. So they can potentially be a good 5-2 right now or 6-1. Then we got Texas. Then they got Auburn. Then they got Mississippi State. Then they got South Carolina. And then they got Missouri. So I'm looking at these tough games. They got Notre Dame's tough. LSU, Texas. I think they beat Auburn next. Oh, it depends on who Auburn gets at quarterback.
Said Jordan Hare, and you don't know their quarterback.
That's true.
Right. It's Hugh Freeze's second year
for A&M, by the way.
It is.
Hugh Freeze gets a second year to figure this out.
That's true.
I'm trying to figure out if Auburn's going to go get Cameron Ward. That's what I'm trying to figure out. Because you know that he's been offered by everybody.
Grayson McCall. Grayson McCall.
There's a Grayson McCall's in the portal too. There's some quarterbacks going to be in there this year.
Cam Ward over there with Auburn.
Dog, I would hate that.
All right. So since we're talking portal, let's talk about portal for now. Okay. Let's talk about portal.
Oh my God!
You opened up the can of worms with that one. Cameron Ward.
Sorry, but hey, dog. I've heard there's like 2 SEC teams that offered that man over $1 million to come, and there's like a Big Ten school or so. There's been there's supposedly all of these schools around the country that's offering this dude bread to jump in the portal, and I'm gonna keep it a buck. He'd be an idiot not to, because ain't nothing at Washington State worth sticking around for.
Next year they won't have a conference. They won't have a conference next year,
and he's good. He's actually good when you put him in the right circumstances, dog.
Oh, yeah. That'd be deadly.
Oh, my God. I didn't even think about that.
So Auburn's going to get a quarterback. That's the thing. So you got McCall.
KJ.
KJ Jefferson's in the portal, which I think I've heard
South Carolina.
South Carolina, that's it. So South Carolina's the school. That's what it was.
But Levy needs a quarterback, so does he get DG to come? Or does he, KJ would look.
KJ's from Mississippi.
Yeah, he would look deadly in a Mississippi State uniform
with Lebby.
With Lebby in that veer and shoot, because he already knows the offense. Oh my God!
Yeah.
The portal about to be jumping this year, y'all. It's about to be jumping.
Right. Well, what's up with Florida firing their coaches and then all their players are basically leaving them?
Texas, y'all are probably about to get that safety.
Yeah, Phil Sane.
Phil Sane. Yep. Yeah, he'll probably flip. God knows what happens after that.
Trevor Etienne is gone.
He's gone.
I've heard
both their running backs are gone, right?
Yep. You say who?
Because you got Trevor.
I've heard a couple places.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
I've heard a couple places for Etienne, and then the defensive lineman, Chris. What's that? McKellen. His name?
Yeah, I think he hit the portal already, didn't he?
Yeah, he's going to hit the portal. If he hasn't yet, he's supposed to be the second one. It's supposed to be him and Etienne over the last 12 hours.
Portal combat. I like that.
Portal, that's really good.
That's actually really good. Well played, my friend.
Devo guy,
combat.
I'm going to use that in a thumbnail.
I know.
I'm going to use that in a thumbnail. I'll credit you in the description. No worries.
You got to put Bevo guy right in
Bevo guy.
It.
No.
Like with the at.
That's
Friday.
Good.
Bleacher Report. We're going to use it on Friday at Bleacher Report. Portal Combat Bevo guy.
That's good. That's really good.
That's so good. That's really good. Wordplay.
Hey, speaking of Florida, I saw somebody else said that when the day the Lagway decommit drops, it's going to be like a shotgun blast to the chest.
Oh my God.
Hey, look here. Hey, yo, Fatty 71. That's an old picture of Levy hanging out with Arch Manning.
Yeah,
I think
Arch and
when
Levy were
Levy,
close at Ole Miss. They were
yeah.
close.
So of course, Arch is going to get the treatment at Ole Miss since his grandfather and his uncle went there. They would be dumb not to try to go get him. That's an old picture, man. It's an old
Yeah.
picture.
Yeah,
Arch ain't going nowhere, man. Leave Arch alone.
I say keep an eye on the fact that Levy's wearing Nikes and Mississippi State's an Adidas school. That tipped it away from me. When I looked at the shoe, I was like, oh, he's wearing Nikes. That's Ole Miss. Because
Yeah, it's
Adidas
true.
is what
That's
Mississippi
true.
State wears.
There's a few people out here acting like hoes over Arch, by the way, after talking that talk. And now all of a sudden they school need a quarterback. And they acting like, they Maurice Claret.
I know. What's up with that, man? Hey,
You
man.
got, out here just
Slutting for a quarterback, baby. Slutting.
Oh
I
my
know.
God.
Over here.
yourself
Yeah,
up.
man. Over here thirst trapping over my quarterback, man. Go back in the car with Suge Knight with all them guns. My bad. Next. Y'all remember the story. Y'all remember
I
the
actually
story.
like the Cam
Yeah.
Ward. I like the Cam Ward to Auburn idea. I feel
I
like
don't.
that's a
Well, I mean, of course.
that's a Hugh
I
Freeze
said, I don't want to
type
scheme for that
quarterback.
guy.
Hey, he would be awesome there. He would be awesome.
God.
You
That'd be
know
amazing.
what they get like I'm just waiting for y'all to play Auburn, especially with Hugh Freeze, and now y'all have to deal with all of these damn pick routes he runs. It is infuriating. They would be moving screens in the NBA, but somehow it's perfectly legal here. It's ridiculous.
Yeah. No, you're right.
I watched
it's
them
bad.
take Kool-Aid 15 yards the other direction.
I did see that. I did see. You know what's funny, Ty? I get a text from my cousin. He's like, Kool-Aid sucks. I'm like, dude, he got picked 10 yards down. It's not his fault.
Right.
He
Like, what is he
You know,
supposed to do?
you know the exact play I'm talking about.
Yeah, it's
dude.
like he got drugged 10 yards down the damn field, man. Like, yeah, he doesn't suck.
Oh, man. I can't believe Max Johnson actually jumped in the portal like that. I didn't expect that.
You committed to UNC.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, he's with the Fighting
Macaroni
Mac Browns.
Jones.
Yeah.
Fighting Mac Browns, baby.
So honestly, though, this is where I think Elko's going to have to figure out. Okay, look, Connor's his guy. He has to be his guy now, just from sheer numbers. He doesn't have numbers, right? I mean,
Right.
he's the only returning talent that has actually played in that system, right? Well,
Well, they got the brother there that was starting right now with the dreads too.
Yeah,
you
it's
know what?
true.
You know what though? That is true.
Has
That is
not
true.
looked bad.
Yeah, he hasn't
He
looked
hasn't
bad
that
at
guy
all.
was competing, man.
Yeah, that is true.
He's
That is
Might
true.
have something to build with there.
So it's just a matter of who the hell's Elko going to hire, dude? Because that's going to decide a lot, man. That's
Yeah,
going to
the
decide a
OC
lot.
The OC's everything for what they're trying to figure out. And
Everything.
I don't know what to say about it.
Hey, Drew. So Elko's not bringing, his guy. His guy's probably going to Notre Dame.
Yeah. Riley Leonard is gone, so he's most likely Notre Dame. I've been seeing nothing but Notre Dame predictions for like the last 3 hours on that.
So hey, but this is one too, though. Jay, think about this for a minute. Jaden Daniels from Kansas. He sat out since week 4. He hasn't played. He's basically redshirted this year. Does he come back to Kansas, or does he go to another school that's going to
he
give him a little
said
more
he's
boost?
sticking with Lance. Now
That's
the question's
what
going
he
to be:
says.
is Leipold going to still be there? I'm trying to think. Is there a job that he could get? A&M's off the board, and so is Mississippi State and Michigan State.
I feel like
anybody else
Leipold's
getting
gonna
fired?
Stick for now.
He has to for
Because
now.
I think he's
Yeah.
sticking for now because it looked like he was really entertaining the Michigan State thing, and now Jonathan Smith of
He
Oregon
got
State
that.
has gone there. Which
feel so
people
bad
on
for
Twitter
Oregon
yesterday
State.
were like, "Oh, why did Jonathan Smith leave?" I'm like, "Look,
They don't have a
Oregon
conference.
State's not in a conference. What are they supposed
What is he supposed to do?
supposed to do?"
Dude don't even got a conference. He gonna be.
I'm sorry, but they're like, because people are like, what the hell? But Michigan State is not above Oregon State and all this type of stuff. I'm
Yes,
like,
they
one's
are.
in a conference and one isn't.
Hey man,
Like,
Oregon State gonna be in the Conference USA next year. They ready to chill out. That man had to.
They're lucky. Well, they're going to pack 2.
They gonna
What
be
if
there.
what if A&M went out and hired Brennan Marion?
Ooh, don't do
Offensive
that.
coordinator.
Stop it, Ty.
Ties
Stop
to
it.
the state of Texas.
Stop it, Ty. I don't want to hear that shit. All right.
Ties to the West Coast from UNLV.
I know 40's happy if he hears that. Yeah.
I
I'm
just wanna
saying that
say-
would
I
be
just wanna say-
dirty.
That would be nasty. It would be short because Brennan
Nasty
is
work.
on a fast
He's
track to
moving,
be a head
dude.
coach.
He's
True,
moving.
true. Good point.
It would be
That's a good
short.
point.
He's not. If you
That's a good
hire
point.
Brennan Marion to be an OC at the
2
Power
years.
5 level,
2 years.
1 to 2 years
Maybe.
max.
You get
Yeah,
that
2
long?
years tops.
yes, it's going to be a
1 to 2
year
years.
thing. He's
That's fair. Good point.
Yeah.
right.
And-
The other thing with what he's done at UNLV, shout out to him and Barry Odom, by the way. 2 coaches I really like
Yep.
that have gone to the Mountain West and tore it up immediately. Out there looking like Tango and Cash in Las Vegas. Shout out to Barry Odom and my brother Brennan Marion for the job, the job that they're doing out there. But that is
That would be
I
nasty.
think that's why you haven't seen Marion already make that move to some of these jobs. And eventually somebody will do it. But it's going to be one of those things where Marion is trying to be a head coach.
Yeah.
So
And any team that's going to have a brand new head coach is probably going to want some continuity on that team for more than a year or two. And so,
That's
yeah,
fair.
Man, Marion, but that go-go offense,
It'd just be so. I mean,
put up
can,
numbers.
yeah.
but can you
he'll put up
imagine
numbers.
what it would do for? Granted, they don't have a problem with this, but recruiting. I mean, you talk about they're worried about Cam Coleman flipping. No more. You go get Brennan Marion. I don't think you're concerned about Cam Coleman flipping anymore. I just don't.
Yeah, yeah. Because we have he'll have like the air. Man, he's just good. I mean, look, man, he's a budding coach. We're all going to see it.
Y'all make a
Yeah.
really good point, though. I didn't even take that into account, Stephen, Nick. Y'all make a very good point. That's tough. He'd be out of there quick.
Real quick.
That's fair.
I'm trying to think who else is in the transfer portal. We've talked about.
Well, somebody else just got the San Diego State job.
Yeah, that was one
Sean
he was
Lewis.
up for. Sean Lewis, yeah.
Sean Lewis. Right.
As
right.
expected.
So some of these these are good.
Thank God they didn't hire him as
coordinate-
OC.
Oh God, yeah. There's a lot of people wanted him.
I tell you what, man, that's the only thing about you get a defensive minded coach. This is an offensive league, right? So a lot of these offensive guys, once they start to make their, make their chops and stuff and get everything situated, those are the ones that get picked up for head coaching jobs pretty early and pretty quick.
Yeah, because
know?
they're the ones that can change things quickly, right?
Yeah,
like,
exactly.
Like over the last we'll just say 20 years, how many offensive coaches have actually won national championships? It's 4? If you do the actual quick math in your head, think about it. Saban's a defensive guy.
Yeah,
Kirby
Kirby's
Smart's a defensive
defensive
guy. Ed Orgeron's a defensive guy. Let me see. You got Dabo, who's considered an offensive guy. So Dabo
Yeah.
would be your 1, but
Jimbo.
Jimbo would be considered offensive guy. That's 2.
Urban over the years.
Is
He's
Urban's a
Yeah,
defensive
that's-
guy, isn't he?
no,
I thought he played linebacker or corner.
but it don't matter. No,
Urban-
Urban's
I
an
thought he
offensive
was a
guy.
You know what's weird
defensive
about
guy.
Urban? Urban
with the spread.
was like a special teams guy. Well, honestly, he's
Oh,
like
you're right.
John
He was a
Harbaugh,
wide receiver
but-
coach. You're right. He was a
Yeah.
wide receiver coach. Actually, he was outside linebacker
the-
and wide receiver, so he done both.
Wow.
What the f- is
That's-
this?
that-
He was outside linebacker coach at Illinois State and then quarterback coach and wide receiver the next season.
That's
but
fascinating.
yeah, that is crazy. But Urban's
DB
called
coach
to
when he
fame
started. What?
because Urban's just a great football mind. Like
He just
no
goes
matter what
everywhere.
people say about him as a person, he's just a hell of a football mind. But Urban's claim to fame was his offense. That
Yeah.
offense that he brought in from Utah, was an offense that's stupid crazy that people thought wasn't going to work in the SEC. And then he turned it into 2 championships and then bolted. So
Where's Dan Mullen coaching next year?
then where? That's
Now,
a good
He's,
question.
he's on TV.
CBS
on-
Studios.
Yeah, man. Hey, man. He get them
won't take a
TV
job.
checks, man.
He's
he don't like.
gotten. I heard that he interviewed for Mississippi State and for I think Syracuse and decided to pull his name out.
No, hey, that's just to get the check higher with
Yes,
CBS. That's all it is, man.
yes.
Dan Mullen, he already said he don't like to recruit.
Oh,
Come
yeah.
on, man. He
Yeah,
said
that was wild. That was
And it's funny
wild.
because Syracuse AD said that he was never a candidate when his name was thrown around for the job when he kind of just pulled back. So yes, he was using that to get himself up.
Yeah, that man said he don't even like to recruit.
I know the recruit thing is a huge obstacle you'd have to get over.
I mean,
however,
it's like people keep
football.
saying Joe Brady to me like once a week about him getting a job somewhere. I'm like, what? Have y'all not heard what Joe Brady said about recruiting when he left
trying to
LSU?
rescue the Buffalo Bills right now.
Exactly.
So
He's got Josh Allen. He's got enough kids as it is.
yeah,
he's recruiting
trying to
in-house.
rescue Buffalo Bills right now. Dan Mullen though is better than half of these damn coaches out here.
They are. He
We're
is.
just talking X's and O's.
He just got to get the
I
complete
mean, let's
package
just be
stuff.
honest.
Yeah. Man,
That's why I'm just so happy A&M didn't get their hands on a guy like a Sean Lewis, right? Someone
Yeah.
that you get him out there. I mean, he's going to unleash something ferocious with those athletes. I'm excited to see what he does over at San Diego State.
it's gonna be interesting, dude. That's gonna be interesting.
Can we talk about the college football playoff committee?
Yeah.
wrap it up
Okay.
with that.
College football playoffs. All right.
They've lost all semblance.
They've lost all credibility. So who's the guy that they keep trotting out there to make these stupid statements? What's his name?
Bo Nix has a 78% completion percentage on the year against Bishop Sycamore, Gainesville High School, and Decatur High School, and we think that's fantastic.
Yeah, he passed for
lovely.
97% against Portland State, and they scored 81 points. Look here, man. Of course, everybody understands me and Steven are Texas guys here. Ty's an Alabama guy. Jay's an OU guy. There's no way in hell Oregon should be above Alabama or Texas right now.
Ohio State.
There's no
Why is
reason Ohio State should be above.
anybody.
Can I
got two issues. Before you go,
Go
I
ahead.
got two. I'm gonna be real quick. I don't understand how Ohio State and Oregon's above you two, and I don't understand how Penn State and Ole Miss is above us. We literally, out of the 10-2 teams, we have the best win. Like, if you're doing this off resume, like they always say,
Because
games played on the
they're
field
not
is the most
consistent.
important.
No, because they don't care about your wins. They're looking at who has the best loss. And that's what
And
they're
they-
looking
no,
at.
that's
And
the
they got the
dumbest
two best losses. And that's and that's what they're
That is
looking at.
consistent.
Stupid.
That is the only
stupid.
consistency they have because they're looking at us
right.
losing to you guys, and it is a worse loss than Oregon losing to Washington. Which, look here, it was all the recency bias. I think in the first 6 weeks, everybody thought the Pac-12 was this tough ass conference in the first 6 weeks. Colorado was booming. Oregon State was booming. Washington State was booming. Remember, Washington State started off 4-2, right?
But we knew they were going to cannibalize each other.
but-
That's why I
but
hate
it-
ratings before week 4.
But
You know who I'm
it
looking at.
didn't matter because the narrative out there, and I blame Dion for this. I'm blaming Dion for this shit.
Prime is
The
your fault.
It's Prime's fault. The narrative was the Pac-12 was just this awesome conference in their last year. Everybody's doing well. And after week 6, all the piss poor sorry teams regressed to the mean like they should have. The Washington States, the Colorados, the Arizona States. Utah doesn't have a quarterback. They're 7-5 this year, right? They started off real tough, and everybody thought they were great because they beat sorry ass Florida. But we see what Florida is, right? They're not a good team, folks. You know what I'm saying? So look, man. No, I'm sorry. They didn't beat Florida. They beat LSU, didn't they?
They beat Utah.
Yeah.
Beat Florida. They beat
Yeah, it was
Florida.
Florida. Okay.
First week at
Yeah,
home.
You're right. You're right.
They're
It was
8-4,
Florida.
but
No,
yeah.
Jay. Now that you state that, though, in terms of the Penn State, Ole Miss being ranked ahead of you,
And Missouri.
and Missouri. Okay, use Missouri. It's the losses. That's the only thing
That's it.
It's just the one thing of consistency that I've seen from these people because they're looking at Penn State and they're like, we really like Ohio State, we really like Michigan. They lost to them too, so that's cool. And Ole Miss lost to Georgia and Alabama. That's cool. And OU's losses were Oklahoma State and who was your other loss? Kansas. So that's why they're not looking at what you did. They're
Yeah.
looking at what you
Didn't do.
That's the
That's-
only
But
that's
it
thing
what they're looking at.
makes
they're not
no
emphasizing the wins.
sense.
That's why they're not. That's why they did not bump up Michigan.
Exactly.
Because
And they got the best
should've
win.
bumped Michigan Michigan has the best win.
They have the best
because
win.
They love Ohio State so much.
Yep.
That's why it doesn't make sense. You love Ohio State so much, but then this team goes and beats Ohio State.
Yeah.
But they're not number one.
Hold on,
because
Steven.
you want to leave Georgia there.
They beat Ohio State.
None of it makes sense.
And they didn't even have their head coach on the sideline.
That's the thing. That's what got me with all of this. They don't have their head coach. That makes it double embarrassing.
Yeah.
Double the embarrassing.
Okay,
Now, I
okay,
get it.
okay.
Go ahead, Ty. Go ahead.
I
Ty.
got it.
Go, Ty.
I gotta
Go,
go. I
Ty.
gotta
Go ahead. You about to
How
explode.
in the hell is Ohio State above Alabama and Texas when they lost to their rival, when their rival didn't have their head coach on the sideline?
Yeah.
Not only that, Michigan came out of that game, and Michigan players, when they were like, oh, were they more physical than you thought? The Michigan players said no. They were soft. They weren't good. And you rank them? Like, what has Ohio State shown you?
You know, though, the only thing I can say about look here, Michigan, y'all didn't bulldoze their ass. It was a damn close game. So if they were soft, then
well, I think we can talk about that when it gets there. Look what's happened to Michigan when they play Georgia. They get smacked around.
Yeah,
like that's a conversation.
Was there any surprises that you guys saw in the Ohio State Michigan game? That game played out exactly like I thought it would. You know, I picked Ohio State.
Yeah.
I picked Ohio State.
I picked Ohio State too.
I know all three of y'all did. All three of y'all. All
style
three of y'all.
of game. You know, Jay, you're right. But style of game played out exactly how I thought it would play out in terms of, you know, not a whole lot of vertical passing and, you know, ground and pound and very physical and, you know, eventually somebody's going to make a couple plays. But they're overrating these teams. They're overrating these players and they're overrating these teams. For people to be emphasizing Marvin Harrison Jr., who I love, and he's a amazing
damn good
prospect.
player. Yeah.
Yes.
But to even be putting his name in the Heisman category is disrespectful to what Devontae Smith and guys like that have put up real Heisman numbers at the receiver position in the past
and carried a team.
I don't even know if he's not. We can't even definitively say that he's had a better season than Rome Odunze or Malik Neighbors.
Troy Franklin.
Over here pushing him
Troy Franklin
for Heisman. It's just ridiculous how they bump up all these.
It's the favoritism. It's the favoritism that they have. And look here, man. It just pisses me off because, look, I want to get back on this Pac-12 shit. They haven't played anybody. The Pac-12 is weak. It's not what we thought this conference was at week 5. This conference
it was a better conference last year. Last year was Pac-12 was really, really good.
It was rocking.
I think the quarterback play is still really good in the Pac.
But the team suck.
They cannibalize each other as you do in conference. The problem I have with the Big Ten, the conference that sucks is the Big Ten. Because it's literally 3 teams that do everything every year. They have cupcake schedules, and that division shit is stupid. Yes, and they're in the same division. That's what makes it so bad. Look, once they get rid of divisions next year, I think the Big will look a lot different. But for real, dog, Penn State gets the best set of losses because they keep losing to the same team every freaking year. This is the reason why that best loss bullcrap pisses me off because literally Penn State gets abused every year by Michigan and Ohio State every single freaking year. That's the only team they're never going to beat. James Franklin won't get them. Never. And then they're going to beat Rutgers. Well, yes.
To your point, Nick, look at this. Wide receiver A. 67 receptions, 1,211 yards, 14 touchdowns. Wide receiver B, 77 receptions, 1,349 yards, 14 touchdowns. Who's who? Which one is Marvin Harrison Jr.?
I'm not even going to say
Marvin Harrison is the first one at 1,200 yards.
Yep, Troy Franklin's the second one at 1,349 yards. Troy Franklin is not up for a Biletnikoff.
Craziness, ain't it?
Malik Washington sitting up here with 110 catches for 1,400 yards. Brian Thomas Jr. has 60 catches. Well, he has 15 touchdowns in this season. Troy Franklin, Rome.
To the same sort of logic, right? Like Neo asks, how is Stutzman not on the Butkus Award finalist? Travesty. Or Bowman not a Thorpe finalist.
Bowman.
Travesty.
How is Bowman not on a Jim Thorpe? I just did a video and dropped it a minute ago. This dude has 6 interceptions at safety, 3 pick sixes.
Yeah, he should be in the Thorpe. Yeah.
And he literally, he is second on the list of the Thorpe guys with tackles.
Yeah.
But he didn't make the list.
Well,
it's the favoritism.
Dog, it's so annoying, man. It's so annoying.
Listen, I know I might catch some fleck because he's, a little homer. Caleb Downs didn't get any love.
No,
Guy's
he didn't.
got 65 solo tackles, 90 tackles, 2
90.
interceptions, 5 pass
At safety.
defended as a true freshman at strong safety.
But
Which is
hey,
absurd.
but that's why they didn't do it, because you know what college football does, and it's really frustrating. They say, since you're a true freshman, you got time to win it. We're gonna let some of these juniors and seniors get this award.
Right.
But
That's
that
what
being said,
happens.
I wasn't as ticked off as Downs not being on it as you should be about Bowman not being on it.
Bowman
That was
should be on it.
We
ridiculous.
also got to
That was
understand
ridiculous.
these groups, and from my understanding,
God.
depending on the award, there's different people that vote and collectively, are assigned to these things.
So there's
And
dudes that don't watch the games?
Thorpe,
Sounds about right.
the Thorpe is notorious for this. The year Derek Stingley, his freshman year, should have won the Thorpe Award.
Yes.
They gave it to Grant Delpit. But Grant Delpit was good 2 years before that. He wasn't Grant Delpit was solid that year. But the main man in that LSU secondary when they won the national championship in 2019, it was Stingley.
It was Stingley, as a freshman.
Opposite of Christian Fulton.
Yeah.
But they gave it to Grant Delpit, and I'm like, Grant, if you wanted to give it to Grant Delpit, you should have gave it to him 2 years ago when he was really balling.
He was a freshman.
That's they are notorious. The Thorpe in general is notorious for doing that, and I think it does have something to do with the people that surround that. And that's my thing with college football in general. It's the people that are voting for that, the people that are voting for the Heisman Trophy. Now all of a sudden, Bo Nix's completion percentage and the fact that he's won all these games trumps Jaden Daniels having a historic outlier type season. Jaden Daniels' numbers you could put against any recent Heisman winner.
Yeah.
Over the last 12 years, including Joe Burrow.
He's
That's
killing
how
Burrow.
good he has been. He is so outright been the best player in college football. It's ridiculous that he's probably going to end up losing that award to Bo Nix, who's been good, who's been really good. There's no shade towards Bo Nix. But people are telling me, well, Jaden Daniels lost 3 games and all this type of stuff. Like we didn't give Johnny Manziel and Lamar Jackson
And RG3. Yep.
and Caleb Williams last year awards for multiple losses and not winning shit either. That's not what the Heisman has been about.
The Heisman now
is
is
goalpost as well.
They want to make it the best player on one of the top 4 or 5 teams in the country,
exactly
which is sad because it's not that. This is who is the best player in the freaking country, not
Caleb
best player on the best team. But
you want to know something wild?
Yeah,
Bo Nix, before this past Saturday, so these numbers aren't up to date, but before this past Saturday, it still paints the picture. Bo Nix had 17 completions of 20 or more yards.
Oh, yeah. I already noticed that. Yep. Go ahead.
Jaden Daniels had 17 touchdowns.
No,
of
20. He had 20
touchdowns of 20
plus
yards
or more. Yes.
These are not the same.
They're not the
These
same.
are not the same.
guy. Daniels is
Yeah.
the Heisman Trophy winner.
Yeah,
Point
Nix
blank,
had 17 passes of 20 yards or more. Daniels had 20 touchdowns of 20 yards or more.
Thank you.
They are not the same player.
They're not the same guy.
May I answer this? Because I have a
Yeah.
little bit of a hot take, guys.
Go ahead. Yeah.
And it pertains to this right here.
Thank
Kyle
you for the super
Witherspoon.
chat, Kyle.
Yeah, thanks, Kyle.
Thank you very much for the $10. He says there's a nightmare
Kyle.
scenario ahead, folks. If Bama beats UGA, I pray it happens. It might not matter if FSU loses because I can easily see this committee putting in Bama and UGA, which would leave us out.
Meaning
I'm
UT.
assuming us being
It's
Texas.
UT. Yeah.
Kyle's a Texas fan.
Here's the thing. The committee could do that because the committee has been out of pocket thus far this year. I'll tell you who should get left out in that scenario, though. It's not Texas.
Oregon.
If this happens, and I'm going to, in my scenario, FSU loses because it just makes it a little bit cleaner. So FSU loses, Bama beats Georgia, Michigan beats Iowa because I don't think anybody doubts that. Texas wins, and Oregon beats Washington. The 4 playoff teams, in no particular order, in my opinion, should be Michigan, Alabama, Texas, and then Georgia. It would be Oregon getting left out. Texas has a far better resume than Oregon. I said this earlier on Kyle Henderson's Alabama Football with Kyle Henderson. Great YouTube channel. If y'all don't watch it and you're an Alabama fan, highly recommend it. We were live this morning, and I was like, listen, if you give me a playoff game, Oregon versus Texas, I pick Texas to win that game. You give me Oregon versus Bama, I'm picking Bama to win that game. And I don't think twice. Oregon's a good team.
And Vegas agrees. And
But,
Bill Connolly's model agrees too.
Bama and Texas would run it up, I think, on them.
Can we have an uncomfortable conversation right now?
Let's go have it. Yeah, let's have it.
If Florida State wins, and let's say that they win, the game looks similar to the Florida game. They beat Louisville. It's kind of ugly. They win, let's say 20-14 or something like that. They beat Louisville. They're 13-0. My understanding, and this is from multiple things I've checked, is Florida State right now would not be favored in any game, even as an undefeated, against Georgia, Michigan, Texas, Bama, the whole bit. And so I still go back to the question. This is something that I saw Todd McShay talk about.
Quentin.
Are they one of the 4 best teams? It's because if you're putting Florida State in, I get that they're undefeated, but it's not the most deserving. It's who are the 4 best. And I'm not here to say that unequivocally. I'm not even saying that out of time. I'm just saying Florida State would not be favored. Okay, like it just is what it is. Now, if you're putting them in there, cool. I'm not going to argue 13-0, but it's a layup for Georgia, assuming Georgia's number 1. If you put Florida State in there, it's a layup because I have not seen anything from that quarterback replacing. If they got anything, if they showed anything, the way Cardale Jones showed something for Ohio State when he replaced JT Barrett, and it showed that they were able to continue to be the football team that we saw all season. Because if you put Florida State in the playoffs, that is not an accurate representation
The top 4.
of what they were the entire season.
Mm-hmm.
That's
They'd
what
get
they are
dragged.
right now. It's a layup.
What
So
Kirby
I'm
would
just
do to
saying,
them?
Oh my God, it'd be nasty. It would be nasty. But hey, okay, Steven, this is the only thing I want to push back on this. Now, they gotta beat Louisville by 14 points. Okay, if they beat Louisville by 14 points, then let them be the 4th team. I'm fine with it, and this is my reason for this. Right, 2014. Who would have ever thought Ohio State would go in after losing
But
JT
that's what I
Barrett
just brought up.
and win
I
it?
just brought up Cardale Jones.
Yeah,
That they beat Wisconsin 59-0.
yeah.
They literally.
But that's what I'm saying. They have to beat Louisville by 2 touchdowns or more. If they can go beat Louisville by, let's say, 14 or 17 points, right? And it's a game that's 37-20. Okay. Do we put Florida State in? Is that margin wide enough for them to go in?
I need to know what the quarterback looks like.
If the quarterback
I need
looks
to know what the quarter.
270
If
yards
he looks like
passing,
he did against Florida, they're not one of the 4 best teams in the country.
Oh, yeah,
We
I'm
don't
with
need
you.
to think about this.
I'm with you, but I'm just telling you what
Because
they're
my
going to
thing
do.
is fundamentally, Quentin. This is my because Quentin's pushing back and saying no matter what, if you're undefeated, blah blah blah, you should be in. That's not what the job of the committee is.
Yeah,
That's not the point.
It's the 4 best teams
There's
in college
nothing in
football.
the criteria it's the 4 best teams.
There's nothing about
Okay,
record.
Yep.
There's nothing
4
about
best.
record in there. I don't give a shit if you were undefeated at that point. You are not what you were with Jordan Travis. It is a noticeable difference. You're playing with one arm tied behind your back. Nobody wants to see that. You go and get beaten down by Georgia like a damn bloody pulp. And it's like, well, we could have, we
But hey,
would have expected that to happen.
Hey, Steven, this comment here. So my only pushback to this too again is when Texas won ugly with Malik against Kansas State, they could have pushed us down. because
But Quinn was coming back.
but
Like,
we
there's
didn't know
a
that
turn-
then. We didn't know.
Sure, but we know now.
Yeah.
Right,
But
like-
I'm just saying for that 2-week period with Malik Murphy in, and we didn't know how long Quinn was going to be out. And Malik got his first start against BYU. They could have pushed us down in the rankings. So they've stood pat and said, look, your team is your team until you're not your team, meaning
they're
until
not
you
your
lose. I know,
True.
no, but what they're saying is your team until your record says you're not your team anymore, which is not the right thing. Steven's saying it right. It's not the right thing because this would be the best teams. The 4 best teams should play for the championship. And Florida State right now is not one of the 4 best, but they are not going to leave them out if they're undefeated.
Because the committee
ACC
is trying to.
championship.
The committee believes in who deserves
That's
to
it.
be there, right?
And so
yes, based upon their body of work, Florida State absolutely deserves. I feel terrible for those kids. I feel terrible for Jordan Travis. He deserved to be in this spot to lead his team. They've been dope all year. I'm not a Florida State hater, but they are not the same team. Quentin, you're off base because LSU has never shown to be one of the 4 best teams in the country.
they got
Right.
They've
they got
never
one of the-
shown that.
Yeah, they got one of the 4 best
So
offenses, but their defense is tight.
You're not
bottom tier.
understanding what we're saying here. You're using a very poor example.
And I guess the
we're
question-
talking about the 4 best teams.
Hey,
Who
put Liberty
are
in
the
there.
4
I like that
best
idea,
teams?
Kyle. Put Liberty in there.
Liberty might beat FSU.
You brought it right. That's the funny part.
and to Steven's point, and I guess Quentin, a question I have for you: who in the top 8 would you have Florida State favored against in Jerry's world tomorrow? Because I don't think I'd have
Top
Florida
15.
State. I was just doing playoff contenders, but yeah, you really want to peel the curtain back, Jay.
Hey,
Damn,
I'm
Jay.
saying, man, everybody's looking at them.
No, that's a good point.
Look at
But
them like food.
OU
Everybody's
versus
looking at
Florida
food.
State and Jerry World. Who's favored?
Oh, Oklahoma's favored by like 2 points.
What are we doing?
And if I may, Quentin says everyone gets all the credit for beating LSU. Quentin, that's kind of an all or nothing look on it, right? Like that's kind of saying either the glass is completely full or it's completely empty. There can be no in-between phase. Just because we don't think that LSU is one of the top 4 teams in the country does not mean that they aren't a really, really good team. There are 25 teams that are ranked. Only 4 teams make it. Just because you're not the top 4 doesn't mean you're bad. It's not an all or nothing. It's not a zero-sum game.
Agreed.
Hey guys, I want to make a comment on this. All right, so not Beaver says you almost lost to Florida for God's sake. We can't look. Bama almost lost to Auburn this week.
You don't do rivals. Rivals don't count.
No, okay,
Rivals
okay.
never count
well,
like that.
well. Let's bring it back. Texas almost lost to Kansas State. Okay,
No,
Texas in a dogfight to Houston. Okay?
Arkansas played Bama close.
Arkansas and Bama. I was just about to say that. A&M and Bama, 6-point
point.
game. You know,
Right. Everybody has
close games.
These close calls. Yeah, but my thing is, what have you seen from Tate Rodemaker?
in
I'm
his
not trying
defense,
to be disrespectful.
no. But in his defense, this is his first game he started. Right. I want to see what he does in this,
Okay.
and I want to see what he does in this ACC championship game. If they go out and they win by 17 points against Louisville, then they're going to shut everybody up. It is what it is. If they go out and go 37-20 against Louisville, because
I will shut up. I'll shut up.
yeah,
I'll shut up as a Texas fan.
I'll shut up because honestly, that would probably be the score they would get if Jordan Travis was in around the same score, 40-something to 20 or 40-something to 14. It'd be somewhere in that range because it ain't like, I mean, look, if they go out and win by 17 points, huh?
To the person that said Texas fans wouldn't be able to stomach it with Malik as well, I'm not that Texas fan. That's my team or no. If you've ever been on my channel, you guys were the same people that came after me all season when I said because we were having too many close games, it's impacting our rating.
Yeah.
Because we were blowing
Yeah.
leads, we may get punished for it in the playoffs. I was the person saying this all season long. So you
You
don't
were the
get to
voice of
come
truth.
and then say that I would not like
Yeah.
I've never been 10 toes down. There were several weeks where I was like, we do not look like one of the 4 best teams. I'm going to keep it a buck. And yeah, it also depends on how we look against Oklahoma State. If we go out there and look like ass and barely win, then we don't deserve to make the playoffs.
Which is a possibility. Which is a possibility.
Yeah,
and it's a possibility
too.
Yeah.
If we go out there and win 20-17, then what am I? I'm arguing with I'm arguing, screaming into a vacuum at that point. No.
But Stephen, this is my only thing too about what this committee is doing. And so if you look at what Oregon and how Oregon's ahead of Texas and Bama, it's because style points. They have style points. That's it. They got style points and they got the best loss. Okay. Texas and Bama have all the talent where I think both teams could have won by a lot more points in some of these games. But we just didn't.
You want to know who really has the best loss?
Who?
Bama. If we're talking playoff eligible teams, Bama has the best loss because I would take Texas over Oregon or Washington.
But I totally agree with you there. But per the committee, they're looking at an undefeated Washington, right? And they're looking at a team that's playing in the championship game, and they got the best loss because they're the number 3 team in the country.
And Oregon was on the road.
Yep.
Yeah,
and Oregon's on the road. Same thing with Ohio State losing to Michigan on the road. The best win in college football, hands down, is Texas because Texas won on
the road.
That's why Texas should be above because they beat a top-ranked team on the road. Now, Alabama's going to have the argument, and this is where the committee's going to get stupid because then they're going to bring in the best wins at this point. Bama beats Georgia in the SEC championship, and freaking Bama's going to get
Texas. They're going to leapfrog Texas.
They're going to leapfrog Texas because Bama will officially at that point have the best win versus a team that's had the longest
and the best loss.
And the best loss by having in one of the best with the longest streaks. Team ain't lost in 3 years now.
Yeah.
Right? They're going to give them that. And it's going to be infuriating to everyone that it's like, so you're saying the games played don't matter anymore. Like, you've got to make the choice. If Bama gets in, Texas should get in next to them, right? Because you've got to, if the games matter, they've got to matter.
It's not going to happen.
But the thing is, they're going to keep Georgia in there. So...
Well, here's the thing. If Bama wins, then all of a sudden the head-to-head argument becomes real squirrely because Bama will have just beaten the number 1 team in the nation.
That's what I'm saying. You'll have the best
game win streak.
You'll have the best win in the country against a team with a streak of 3 seasons. So you'll have that argument while at the same time losing to the team right behind you. And it's like, okay, which one matters most? So what it will look like is this. If it goes just chalk except for the Bama game, then it's going to be Michigan's number 1.
Mm-hmm.
Washington's going to be number 2. They'll probably move Bama to number 3, Georgia number 4, and push out Florida
Texas.
State. Florida State and Texas. That's what it's going to look like.
With the Georgia scenario, even if Florida State wins, you're saying?
Yes, even if Florida State wins, they get pushed out.
No. Look here. I don't see Bama jumping 6 spots. For beating Georgia, I don't.
If they beat Georgia, they will.
I think
they're the number 1 team in the country. They'll do it. It's stupid. They'll do
That'd
it.
Be so nasty.
I don't see it happening.
Work.
I don't see it happening.
Ohio State.
Look here.
Nasty work.
Hey, Ty, if Bama wins this game, right, and Bama has a good shot of winning this game, the Michigan number 1, okay? I think Washington has a good shot of winning Oregon, right? So I'm going to say Washington wins the game just to make the numbers clean because Washington and Oregon are going to cancel each other out regardless, right? So just to make the numbers clean, I'm going to make Washington win the game. Washington's going to move to number 2. And if Florida State wins the game, oh my God, this sucks. If Florida State wins the game,
right,
they're not going to leave Florida State out, folks. It's not happening. I'm telling you right now.
Watch them find a way.
No, they're not because they've already prioritized them being undefeated because honestly, we saw the game last week against Florida. We all saw it. Steven said it perfectly. He said this outstandingly the way he's made. He said this. There's no way in hell that Florida State should be in the top 4 right now after what after the shit we saw on Saturday. There's no way in hell. No way. They are not a top 4 team in the country, but they prioritized them being the undefeated team, and they're going to beat Louisville, folks. Well, it's going to happen.
Here's something else I'd say, because earlier in the chat,
Oh, man.
Prime was saying that the Texas beating Bama, that can't be one of the best losses because Texas then lost to OU, who lost to Kansas and Oklahoma State. Here's why I say that logic doesn't work out, because that was a rivalry game. The first or second best rivalry game in all of college football, right? Depending on who you talk to. It's either Iron Bowl or Red River Rivalry for the best rivalry game.
Yeah.
You lost. So you can't really then just say like, oh, well, because OU shot themselves in the foot twice. Like, because OU actually went out there and said to the other team, here's the football game. Please beat us with it.
Right.
Like, you're
Yeah.
an OU fan and you're saying that. Like, come on.
Yeah. All right.
Yeah,
So,
no,
hey,
no, it's
Cal.
stupid. It makes
Hey,
no
Cal,
sense.
thanks for the super chat again. He said, the
Who
thing
is it,
that
Bama
sucks
team?
about Bama winning is that the game is at 3 p.m. and we won't even enjoy getting to watch FSU game as our fate could already be sealed at that point. So he's talking about UT. Look, man, it's going to be interesting.
Let's also make this point real quick with the Bama thing.
Yeah.
If Bama wins, they will be a one-loss SEC champion. The SEC, the winner of the SEC is never
Is getting
not been
in.
the playoffs.
They're getting in, folks.
So that's that's really tough. If that'd be his
gonna
And
be
recency
nasty.
bias is a thing.
Guys, it's going to be nasty work. We're going to be mad. That's what they're here for. They're here to piss everybody off. They're not here to get shit right. They're here
It's-
to piss us all off. That's what they exist for that reason and that reason
Now,
only.
this is the crazy part
Run it up,
because,
Sark.
hey,
Run it
he
up,
has to.
Sark.
And,
Oh, no,
I was
y'all
saying
gotta
this
win
earlier.
by 40.
Look, I got a
I don't
feeling
think
Sark's
they'd have
going to
to
win this
by
game.
that much.
I don't think so either. I think Sark's going to win this game by. Look, I told you guys last week
40.
on Bleacher Report. I said they're going to beat Tech by 20 plus, and everybody's like, "Whoa!" I said, "No, they're going to win by 20 plus." These guys are making shit personal right now. They're making stuff personal. They're going to beat the crap out of Texas Tech, and this team is finding ways to manufacture beef that's not there. You know, like Gundy makes a statement about how, oh yeah, they got good linemen, but we're going to do it like we always do, block. He didn't say anything wrong, but we got our defensive linemen are tweeting, we'll see you at 11 a.m. Right?
Love it.
Yeah. So
And-
they are manufacturing
But here's
beef. And
Here's
I
why
think they're going to
we
beat the
have
shit
to
out
run
of
it up,
Oklahoma
though.
State. Huh?
Here's why I think we have to run it up though.
Style points.
You don't know what the result. You don't know what the result of the Florida State game is.
Style
now,
points.
Now, again, if your agenda is just to win, and I've said this before, if your agenda is just to win the Big 12, and that's a successful season, if you're I'm talking to Texas fans right now, and you don't really care as much about the playoffs, then you'll take any win. I will take any win. I want to win the Big 12. Let's be clear.
Yeah.
Okay. However, for the sake of the playoffs and the way this committee is moving, in my opinion, to best protect yourself or to give yourself the best chance to try to overturn your current. You've been at 7 since October.
Yeah.
Nothing has worked. Your only shot is to beat the shit out of Oklahoma State like you did last week to Tech. That's your only shot. At least to assume, like, if Florida State wins and they have like a nail biter with Louisville, then it like puts it on out front street in front of the country of like, all right, are we really doing the best team thing? Like, to me, that's your only play if you're Sark. That's why I'm saying he needs to run it up on Saturday if he can. That's my 2 cents.
This is a great comment. You know, Safiri Murray says, first off, Roll Tide. Secondly, even if Texas beats the shit out of OSU, if Bama wins by 1 point, we in there. Hey, you know what's funny though? Like I was telling Nash this weeks ago. I think if Bama
I know
beats,
who that is. I'm gonna throw a rock at his head as soon as I talk to him later on today.
hey man, I think if Bama beats Georgia, Bama's in, and I
I'm
think
telling y'all, man, it's
I-
stupid.
I think they leapfrog Texas. I've been saying this for weeks,
Bama
right,
fans
Steven?
Like this,
Hey,
if
Steven, I've been
Bama
saying this for
fans
weeks, though.
this- No, you have.
Yeah.
But Furry Murray is not wrong, but it's the arrogance. I can smell it through my screen.
Hey,
Because he knows,
Steven.
as long as we win the SEC, we Gucci, baby. Like
Steven, I hear this. I hear this from him all the time. I know who that is because as soon as I saw the first off, Roll Tide, damn it, this is exactly who I know it is. Talking
Yeah,
that
the
ish,
arrogance in their
arrogance.
voice.
He's so arrogant.
Arrogance. They're like, yeah, as long as we're in the conference, we in. We don't care about all these other scenarios like the rest of y'all got to worry about. We're SEC champs.
Bevo, when it happens
wish-
week 2, whenever you have a totally new offensive staff, defensive staff, quarterback, and then the team that beat you turns out to be one of the 6 best teams in the nation, yeah, it's not a bad loss. Yeah, that argument almost says, Nino, Steven, your guy's almost arguing that Texas isn't that good of a win. What's up with your guy there?
Who
Trying
said
to
that?
make it. Hey, he's posing the argument that Bama losing to Texas isn't a good loss. I
Yeah,
guess
what are you
Texas.
talking about? So
I
you're
guess
saying-
Texas ain't a good loss. Then I don't. Bevo, out of your mouth. I don't know.
I don't know, Beaver.
I don't know.
You tripping on that one. I must have missed it. Oh, here he goes. A loss to your biggest rival, who is also good at a neutral field by last-minute touchdown drive, is definitely a really good loss. A loss to
Agree.
an out-of-conference team by 10 at your own home isn't. Okay, I see what you're trying to say, Bevo.
But if we're gonna give the nuance to one side,
Yeah.
we must also give nuance to the other.
Yeah,
Goes
I think
both
he's
ways.
saying from, I don't know. I don't know.
You know, you
Our
said
loss
you
is
can't
not better.
claim.
Yeah.
I know, but Bevo, you can't say I'm not saying it's bad when you actively say it's not good. Not good is bad.
Yeah. That's a good loss for, I mean, okay, look. Bevo saying that Bama got beat bad at home, right?
True.
But
it's not a bad
in,
loss.
in the grand scheme of things, Bevo, for the playoff committee, Bama getting beat bad at home by double digits to the team that's number 6 in the country when there are multiple one-loss teams, that is a good loss on their resume as far as trying to up the ante to get into the playoffs. That's all that is.
And nobody's arguing that,
Yeah.
that Texas has a bad loss. I agree with you. Oklahoma is a good team, which is why I said if we're basing this off of Oklahoma having 2 losses, Oklahoma didn't exactly do themselves any favor in those
Yeah.
2 losses. They're a good football team.
They are. Also, I was pissed at Oklahoma. I could have stood 1 loss, but not 2. Corey,
Tell
I
me
do
about
get-
it.
I do get
Tell
what you
me
mean,
about
though.
it, Nick. Tell us about it, Nick.
I get what you mean, though, Bevo. I'm just
Yeah.
having fun with you.
Corey. Now this is some funny shit. Now, what if Iowa comes and wins against Michigan? Now that'd just be like,
Dog.
I'm good.
Somebody shot a message out. I'm
See,
trying to
the
remember who it
first
was.
mention-
I'm good.
The first
Iowa.
mention of a Big Ten team. That's how shitty this conference is. The fact that they like no one's even assuming that scenario of Iowa. What if Iowa 20-point underdogs? The fact that you're a 20-point underdog in a
Conference championship game.
tells me everything I need to know.
Oh my God.
That's
Embarrassing.
ridiculous.
Embarrassing.
Oh man.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, I want Iowa to win. But like seriously, I'm gonna sit there and watch them run, ISO and buck sweep for 40 minutes
Yeah.
into a cloud of dust, and then try to throw waggle to the tight end on every blue moon. They're
Yeah.
not losing to Michigan.
All right, so hey man, so David has good comments usually. So he says Alabama has a chance to beat Georgia. Anything is possible. However, I actually think Louisville has a much better chance to beat Florida State as Alabama has to beat. Yeah, and I agree with that too.
I don't
think,
disagree with that at all.
man, look, I hope Louisville beats the shit out of Florida State. Okay, and that just makes everything easy for everybody. It smooths
makes everything
everything. If Louisville loses to Florida State, I don't care if Bama wins or not. If Bama wins and beats Georgia, then Texas and Bama are going to the playoffs. We're both going playoffing, okay? Because that would mean that Georgia, being the number 1 team in the country, will fall. Michigan will move up. The winner of Washington and Oregon will move up. And then Bama and Texas, in whatever order you want to put in, will be 3 and 4. If Louisville loses and Bama wins. I'm sorry, if Louisville wins and Bama wins. So, yeah. It's going to be interesting, man. That's what it's all about, man. It's the last week of college football, championship weekend, and this is the fun shit, man. Like this is what it's supposed to be about. Everything's coming down to the wire, and it's just kind of hectic. But next year's going to be different because it's going to have the 12 games, and it doesn't matter anymore, right? which I'm kind of sad that it doesn't matter anymore because this is kind of fun.
Yeah, we much rather argue over seeding.
Yeah.
I think it's going to turn into a different scenario though, because you know how these coaches are. These coaches are built different. So now you
There's
get
only
into a scenario where people start resting players or doing other strategic things to get a certain seed,
Yeah.
to play a certain, like they do in the NFL.
That's true.
Right?
Yeah, NFL,
you
NBA
get
as
a certain
well.
seed.
Yeah. Here you
So-
go. So yeah, Cal says Georgia, they haven't played anybody. I
That's
won't
not
say
true.
that.
If you
That's
look
not
at their
true.
resume, they've beaten 2 top 15 teams.
Ole Miss, Missouri.
in
Yeah,
Missouri.
Ole Miss, Missouri. They beat Tennessee as well. They beat Kentucky when they were ranked. I mean, they got a decent
How do
schedule.
you guys look at that real quick before we wrap up? Like Tennessee was ranked at the time they played them,
I don't care.
but now as we look back at
Tennessee's-
their resume, Tennessee
With an 8 and
is now
4.
ranked.
They're 8 and 4.
So
and
do you
4.
say that they got a rank? They
No.
got a rank win.
No.
Or
I always
they-
say
they-
at the
they
end of
don't
the
get a
season.
rank win.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's the playoff committee's rankings.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is why I hate any rankings of any type before week 4 and sometimes before the college football playoffs.
No,
It's
I said
because of
before week
this.
6.
Week 6 is good. I can say
Yeah.
4 or 6. I could think that's a fair number because all those week 1 through 4 wins against ranked teams that shouldn't be ranked to begin with, they count that shit.
Yeah.
It shouldn't count
Yeah.
at all.
So like Oregon got Oregon got credit for beating a ranked Colorado. I want you to think about that for a minute. At the time,
I'm convinced that the committee likes Oregon because
they're going to the Big Ten.
Dan Lanning and them, they humbled Dion and
No,
Colorado. So
I might even say
badly.
that they're going to the Big Ten. I honestly feel they like them because they're going into the Big Ten. And that's going to be their new brother in about 6 weeks. And if Oregon somehow wins this, then they end up having and look, they got Michigan in there, they got Oregon, who's the brand new buddy, my distant cousin, and he just won it, and now he's coming to rock with us for the for the rest of the year. So yeah,
I
man.
hadn't thought about that. That's a good point.
Mhm. So yeah, that's my take on it. All right, what time is it? Man, it's
Committee-
9
who's on
o'clock.
the
Shit.
playoff committee
we've been there 2
advocating for
hours.
Texas?
We're here 2 hours.
Who's
We
on
love
the
y'all for
committee?
pulling up, man. Y'all
Hey.
join us and hanging out with us for all this time. We love
Yeah.
it. Thank y'all.
That's crazy. We got 120 folks in here too, so they've been rocking with us for the whole time.
2 hours, dog. 2 hours. Love it. We love y'all.
Man, we
Y'all
just
love
love
bringing our
talking ball,
shenanigans.
man. This shit's fun as hell.
It
It's
is,
championship week. That's
It's
why.
championship
This
week.
is- we're getting all this. We're gonna find out right now, starting on Friday. So
I know. It's gonna be interesting, man. All right, man. Look, man, it's 9:10. It's been 2 hours and 10 minutes, folks. I think we've talked enough about this college football stuff. Just let this shit play out. We just gotta let it play out. You gotta let it play
catch us
out,
on
man.
Friday at Bleacher Report.
Yeah, catch us on Friday at Bleachport. Just the 4 of us gonna be on there. What time is it on Friday this week? Is it 2 o'clock? 3 o'clock?
I think it's a later show.
Yeah, it's 3 o'clock, isn't it? Something like that.
3 o'clock. It's 3 Central, 4 Eastern. Yeah, this week. It's a late one this week, and then the 15th.
It's
it is
early.
back early.
Okay.
Yeah, I actually have it in my calendar, so
All right, well, I'll be on. Make my picks.
yeah, I'm ready. I'm ready for it. Championship week's gonna be fun. So yeah, this one is at 3 o'clock Central, and then the 15th it is. I gotta check the email again. Damn
I
it.
think it's 11 o'clock. No, it's 1 o'clock, I think. 1, so 12 o'clock Central, I think.
Yep, he said. Yep, 1 Eastern, 12 Central. So yeah,
Okay.
midday at that one. So y'all need to figure out y'all's work schedule for the 15th. Go ahead and just tell them y'all not gonna be no meetings. Steven, tell them you ain't having no meetings at that time.
I ain't having no meetings today. I'll be
Tell them to
good.
reschedule that ish.
It's the last
So
one. of the
early
year.
or late. You need to go home and take a dump at noon. So you got bubble guts that morning or something.
PTO,
I gotta go
baby.
home.
Paid time off.
Hey, PTO baby, I love it. I love it. That or bubble guts. One of the two's got to work.
Oh my God, you guys are sickening right now.
We totally made fun of a coworker earlier today about colonoscopy prep. I thought they were going to call HR on us. So
Almost that age. Almost
Oh
that
my
age.
God.
All right, fellas, just
yeah,
All right, man. We out, y'all. It's been 2 hours. We'll see you guys next week.
see you next week. Be good.
Deuces.
Holy shit.